Good evening, everyone. I hope my voice is loud and clear. Perfect. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Mr. Imran. Thank you so much. We will be getting started now. Sometime. So last week we completed the analyze phase, and again we're still on the verge of kind of dealing with the normal data, and most likely we'll be like completing the aspect of normal data. And tomorrow we'll be working with the non-normal data to start with. And by the way, I hope we all remember this is starting today. We have extra extended 1 hour. Not specifically, you might not need extra full complete 1 hour, but again, we'll go with the regular duration, which is the 3 hours. We'll go as planned, and then the extra hour, which is planned there, is to go and discuss this practice test, the mock test, so that you're well prepared for the green belt examination first. So today and tomorrow, we will complete all the practice tests which we have here, which are related to green belt and primarily. So we'll complete these practice tests today and these practice tests tomorrow, so that after tomorrow, you can go ahead and give your examination. So we'll be having well prepared for that, the green belt exam. You would have known different type of questions which can be asked, and it'll be good practice. You do them enough, it'll be exam should not be a problem. Now, that's the agenda for today and tomorrow. So we'll be covering up these like this over like in 2 batches. So again, we may not need a full complete extended hour, but again, let's see how much do we take. So regular, we'll go with the continuous, the way we have been like doing the job. Like, so the 3 hours will go as it is. So most likely, but we should be able to complete the content from Greenbelt portion today. Like if something gets spilled over for tomorrow, which is fine, we should be able to complete it to like a remaining part. So we'll be starting with improve and control, which happens to be quite small, quite less in case of green belt and black belt. That's all you have in the green belt and black belt, because you're only talking about normal data, general course of action. Black will have extensive more, like, so obviously some more details we'll get. Or this is the more tests will come into improve phase, more elements will be in control phase. But in case of a green belt, it's, see, if I talk about control phase, it's more about knowing which kind of control chart to be used in what scenario, and then overview of these control charts. That's from a green belt perspective, because itself green belt, the control section is quite small. So this is just the overview, because there will be rules of control chart which will be covered and will be tested in the black belt only. So the rules will be tested in black belt and not in green belt. And the control limit calculations will also be tested in the black belt section. So from a green belt exam perspective, it's pretty lightweight if we talk about improve and control phase. Let's start with the improve section now. So at the end of your analyze phase, we may have gone ahead and performed certain statistical tests. And based on our data, I would have chosen either to perform a 2 sample t-test, wherever I was comparing averages of two groups, like male or female, a morning shift or night shift. I would have found my root cause wherever p-value was less than 0.05. The p-value when less than 0.05, we would have gone with alternate. That means expert was right in claiming there is a difference between the 2 groups you're comparing. So a 2 sample t-test might have been tried. Just hypothetically say, while we performed the 2 sample t, we found that morning is extremely good and night is bad. And that's why there is a statistical difference between them. So you already know what's good and bad because of your analyze phase. You might have done like comparison of multiple averages. We may have compared the ticket handlers, the managers, or whatever, multiple groups. You might have figured out one group is extremely good, another group is bad or average, and there is no overlap happening in those populations. There is a significant difference. So you already know what's good and bad, again, coming from your analyze phase. So you have a clarity of what is good and what is bad and why there was an alternate hypothesis. You may have performed certain correlation or regression test to identify, and when correlation regression comes into picture, you might have talking about 2 numeric data sets. So I say hypothetically, I had a business problem of turnaround time or some average handling time related thing, a back office, a IT help desk, some sort of scenario was there. So if as a ticket handler or a back office or like a person, my typing speed, which is numeric data, might have been compared with the average handling time. Well, both are numbers, the typing speed of the person and the time taken. So we would have tried to do a relationship, and we might have found that there is a relation, as like a statistically significant relation. Well, people with a high typing speed tend to have a low time taken, because you, if you're able to type faster, you're able to do the job quicker. So your time taken will be less, average handling time will be less. Or as compared to people who are not good with typing, who will find key on the keyboard, where is A, where is B. So they tend to take more time. So the time is higher. So you might have found the statistical relationship already. So there is a relationship which is there. So by end of analyze phase, you have some bit of insights already. You have a probable list of root causes already, which were verified. Now you have verified root cause. So just an example, don't quote me on this one. I'm just saying, like when you started in the analyze phase, you did a fishbone diagram. That was your first thing. You did fishbone diagram. You had a discussion with the team, and like we hypothetically had 25 possible root causes explored. 25 possible. Now, what do you do with this 25 possible root causes? We collect data, perform hypothesis test. When you perform hypothesis test, you find then the reality comes in, as you find, let's say you got 4 verified root causes. 4 verified root causes. And now these root causes which have been verified, it's not my gut feeling. We have evidence, statistical evidence which confirms. So there's no point in talking about the 21. These 21 remaining ones where null hypothesis was achieved, primarily I will rather say, well, forget about them. There's no point. There's an evidence. There is no relationship. This is all null. They're all same symbol. There is no point in talking about them. So only with the 4 verified root cause, you will step into improve phase, and rest was junk. Rest was all junk factors. We leave there in the analyze phase. So we move in the improve phase with these ones. Now, a further level, extended level of root cause analysis will be required, which we generally to pick up any industry in the world. Well, by the way, when we do the trainings for PMP, the project management practitioner training, there also it says the root cause analysis tool is 5 why analysis. The way when whatever we have identified as root causes, that needs to be further investigated. But I could have, and I do not wanted to kind of do this root cause analysis in the beginning with 25 root causes, because we were not sure whether root causes or not. We just had a brainstorming collected list of probable factors, but we don't know whether they are root causes or not. And now I know, so I'm no longer trying to do a hit and trial. I know this is what is causing the problem. So I'll go all in. I'll try to do a complete in-depth study about those root causes to understand what's wrong. Why is it a root cause in the first place? So I have to do a further drill down with these 4 verified root causes. I will be doing a further further extension of this root causes. So I'm just trying to draw an arrow, NHS. So we will be performing a root RCA tool, which is in short we call as a 5 why analysis. It's also called a why analysis. Very, very simple. No statistics involved in the 5 why analysis. It's a common sense which has to prevail here. The team of experts here, as a role of a Six Sigma professional, your role will take a backseat. You've done your job. It's not that we are out of the complete picture, but here, I am not a technical guy. I am not the technical expert to do this job, because people who are process owners, subject matter experts who have been doing the job day in, day out, they are the real people who will be taking this charge from here on, and not me. My job is data. I have gone and given a structured approach to find the real root cause. We've done this, but let this job be taken up. Say, for example, if I talk about my background is from service industry. Now I am probably dealing with somebody in oil and natural gas, in healthcare, in construction. I have no idea about them. I can't go, for example, I'm doing a project tomorrow for an industry which is dealing with some chemical related stuff. I can't go and teach a chemical engineer how to do your chemical engineering job. So practically, I have done the job of finding this for this person, because I do understand data better than them. So I found my root causes, but now with the root cause identified, I let these guys step in, the core expert team. I will be with them. and I will be part of this. I'll facilitate this session, but I want the core experts of the process, who are the process experts, to deal with this and understand why is it a root cause, because this is a root cause. That's verified. So you do a drill down because you know this better than any. I can't teach you your industry job. Bottom line, I am not the expert. You are the expert. So these guys will be required to ask a logically, like the question why. Why did it happen? Because something, say for example, my shift is bad, morning is good, night is bad. Well, it just can't be good or bad. What is wrong with the shift? Morning shift and night shift, well, they're two different shifts. Well, if morning is good, there has to be some reason why it is good. Well, find out why. If something is good, we definitely need to find out why something is good. Why? Because I will learn this, the best practices, the good things about morning shift, which is making it good. So I can replicate in the night shift. And if night is bad, I need to understand why night is bad. So I can find a reason and solve the problem. So bottom line, if it's good, I still need to know why. If it's bad, I still need to know why. Because good needs to be replicated, bad needs to be fixed. So the root cause, the shift we have identified, needs to be further drilled down. Now you're going all in. You know, I am not doing a vague discussion. I'm having a discussion because this is the targeted area. This is the area where I will find my real problem solved. So I will go all in with all the experts. And the logical reason says, like, if this is called a 5 why analysis. In general, what it means that in most of the occasion, not always, in most of the occasion, if you start asking the logical question, why did it happen, you will require roughly about 5 whys to get down to the bottom of the real root cause, where it all started from. The real root cause, the source of root cause, it will roughly take about 5 whys. Now, big question is, do I have to ask 5 times all the time? Mandatory? No. You might ask the first why and you get down to the bottom of the root cause. You might take 2, you might take 3, you might take 4, you might take 5. And in some weird scenarios, you might need more than 5 whys also. But in the maximum cases, maximum up to 5 why. And that's why it's called a 5 why or a why analysis also. All in all, simple thing is that you have to ask the root cause by asking the question why. Dig deeper into it. Now, we always talk about this 5 why analysis as a blame game exercise. Honestly, that's a blame game exercise because it's all about passing on the blame. I didn't do it. Somebody else did it. You blame me for something. I say, no, I was not the one. Let's like, who did it then? So it's all about tracing the origin of where this all story started from. Let me just, we'll go and look at an example here. But before that, let's understand typically, honestly, what you may call a scientific way or a very logical way. But this is all you're doing is blame, passing on the blame. Let's just a quick, very random, very casual example, but that's what is you do in 5 why. I have a friend, like say in an office, and in my office, so one of my friend, Mr. A, this gentleman is very well connected within the organization, leadership and all, has excellent PR management. And this guy is very much interested in office politics, gossips. He loves it. So this kind of stuff. So over a cup of coffee, Mr. A, who happens to be one of my good colleagues, he tells me, Shashi, there's a news that in about a week or so, somebody in the top leadership is getting fired by them. That's happening. So, well, I got to know from Mr. A, and I know this guy is very well connected. He's got the inside news. So pretty much I now have this knowledge. And they're saying like within a week, you'll hear that somebody is getting fired. So now I'm having probably, this was probably in the morning, I was having a cup of coffee with this guy. And during my lunch hours, I'm having my lunch with my other colleagues, Mr. B, C, D. Let's got 4 people here. And during lunch hours, I end up telling them the story, the same thing, because I had learned something I wanted to share with somebody. So I told these guys, somebody is getting fired next week. It's just inside news, but you will see, watch out, somebody will be getting fired. But they also got to learn about it. Now, well, these 2 people, Mr. C and Mr. D, they are like regular smokers. So after lunch, they need to go for a smoke break. So now this Mr. C and Mr. D go at the smoking area. Well, they are going to have the smoke break, and then they end up meeting other colleagues, Mr. F, Mr. G, and Mr. H. And now they're having this smoke break time, and then pretty much they end up sharing the news with these guys. Well, somebody is getting fired. Well, so at least somebody was logical enough to stop this, to put an end to this illogical, like a rumor, gossips. So Mr. H happens to be very logical in his approach. Well, let's say, okay, fine. How do you know that somebody is getting fired? Well, what's your source? That's when they revealed the source. They said, it was an afternoon when we were just about like an hour ago when we were having lunch. We all were having lunch, and Shashi informed us that somebody is getting fired. So they said, why don't let's go and find out from Shashi. Well, what is the source here? Well, how is this information reliable or not? So, well, they said that makes logical sense. So Mr. C, Mr. D, and Mr. H, they reach out to me. Now they asked me this question. Well, during the lunch hours, you informed us that somebody is getting fired. How do you know that somebody is getting fired? So we'll say that, actually, I also got to know about this in the morning itself. Because, I was having, we were having smoke break, and then Mr. A informed me that somebody is getting fired. So, well, let's go and talk to Mr. A. We go back to Mr. A and we ask this question, the same question. Well, how do you know somebody is getting fired? Well, what we're doing is we're trying to find the origin, where it all started from. Well, we are trying to trace where it all started from, where you end wherever it is, but you start tracing the origin. It's a simple way. Keep passing the blame. You blame me, I say no. Well, let's find out who. So we keep passing blame, keep passing on blame till we find the last man standing who cannot pass the blame anymore. That's where it all started. The story originated from here. This guy is the one who's the culprit. If this guy has another story to say, well, how do you get to know? We will continue tracing it. Well, okay, so he said, actually, I got it to know from some. Well, we'll trace. Where let's see where does it end. We'll get to know the source here. So you keep tracing the origin till you find the last person standing who cannot justify. That's where the source of root causes. The causes. That's what you do with a 5i analysis. You simply ask logical questions without looking at the result. It's just bottom line. Something happens. It does not happen just like that. There has to be a reason. Let's find out who. So try to find a linkage here between the problems we're talking about. So a quick example of that 5i analysis is right here. But again, very logical approach of people who are dealing with the process. They would know what we're talking about, what kind of problem we're dealing with. So that's a quick example of a 5i analysis. Say there is a client, the customer, who has now called in complaining, very irritated that I wanted a A item to be shipped to me and you have shipped a B item. Well, definitely wrong. There's a problem, which is not right. So the problem is a wrong item has been shipped to the customer. Generally, that's wrong. Now, we need to understand why. So if we would like to understand why was a wrong item sent to the customer. The first question is, well, we've asked the first why. Why did you, when the customer ordered an A item, why did you send a B item? So it looks like the wrong item was pulled from the inventory. We have a lot of items and we have pulled a wrong item from the inventory. And that's how the customer, instead of getting A, got a B. Well, we don't stop here. You're giving me an excuse. You have given me an excuse because you pulled a wrong item, so we send a wrong item. Okay. Why would you pull a wrong item? Why would you do that? But what we try to go and ask then we try to go and get the details from the customer. Well, can you send us the picture of that item that you receive and all? Well, we happen to see, we discovered something else. This item has a box and the label of the box is A. Inside that box, there is a B item. So technically, there was nothing wrong in process of pulling the item. The person who was supposed to pull the item A actually pulled the item A. The box was labeled A. Inside the box, there was a B item. So we found that the item which was sent to the customer, the box was mislabeled. So it's not wrong, nothing wrong with pulling the process. This item of picking the inventory is not a problem. You can't solve. This is not the problem. And the problem is that it was mislabeled. Won't stop here. Why would you mislabel it? We realized that, well, it's not us. We don't do this job of labeling and putting the items in the box. This is done by our supplier. So the supplier is the one who has messed up with his packaging and boxes and everything. And that's why this guy has made a blunder. So the problem cannot be fixed at our end. It's not my job. It's not a problem of mislabeling, which we have done practically. It's the problem that needs to be solved at suppliers' end. So yes, you may have to go and visit the supplier. And we do that in real world scenario. We do that. We go at suppliers end because we can't fix the problem here. The problem is not here. You need to go back and supply. Your suppliers, the contractors, the vendors, they're obligated by contract, legal contracts that, well, they have to comply with the requirements. So yes, we can go and visit them. We can audit them. So we will go and audit because the problem is not at our end. I need to know why did the supplier send a wrong item to us. So the problem needs to be fixed. So we need to understand why would the supplier do it. So we visited the supplier site and we found that there is one person who's responsible for our dispatch and delivery and all that. We found that one individual who's been assigned to our job. So this is the guy who's the one who's doing all that shipping and labeling, packaging and everything. And this is the guy who's the culprit who's made the mistake. Well, why would this guy make a mistake? We saw this guy doing the job and we saw that this guy has got multiple items, A, B, C, D, E, multiple items he's working with. And he's got labels of those boxes with him, like labels pre-printed with him. So what he does is he's doing all the work at the same time. The process of labeling, it's all chaotic. So we need to correct this process. This guy is not intentionally doing it wrong, but the process is a faulty process of labeling item because he's doing all the work at the same time. Well, we'll tell this guy, needs to be corrected. Is like, okay, pick up the A item, pick up all the A labels, finish the job, A done, finish. Pick up the B items, B label, finish the job, finished. Pick up the C item, C labels. So do it in batches like that rather than doing everything at the same time. The process needs to be corrected here. With this guys with dealing with all the things at the same time. Well, unintentionally, I have got all the items here. I can put an A label on C item or B label on A item. I can do that. It's not like purposefully, but because I'm doing with my process is not correct, I might end up doing it. Honestly, I can't fix the process here. I can't fix the process here. I can't fix the process here. I can't fix this process here. Process has to be fixed here. This is the source where it all started from. You don't fix this process of labeling and all that, this will recreate the problem. This will recreate this problem. This will recreate this problem. This will recreate this problem. The source is right here. So all the action plans has to be prepared at the lowest level of your WBS, the 5Y analysis. The lowest level of your 5Y analysis is the source where the entire story got started. And we have to fix the problem here. So we will be sitting with the experts and we'll prepare an action plan at this level to fix this problem. Because if you fix this, everything will be automatically fixed. That's what you do with the basic process of asking the why question, logically related why questions, rather than just having a vague discussion. So people only who are technical experts, process experts, will be involved in this action of, like in the activity of root cause analysis, and we will prepare the action plan. So please keep this in mind. All the subject matter experts will get together, prepare the action plans at the lowest level of your 5Y analysis, because that's when you will know, okay, if my action plans, which are prepared based on 5Y analysis, will directly hit the root cause, the source of root cause. If your source of root cause gets better, your business problem will automatically get better. So they're all linked. Your action plan, your root cause, your business problem, all are aligned with each other. So that's how you basically do a 5Y analysis. It's just a basic question of asking the question why. Now, but quick check on this one. If it's okay and clear, general way of asking is 5Y. That's it. There's nothing much in the 5Y, but all in all, it has to be done. Very simple activity, but should be done as it is. Now, all said and done, I have got action plans, but can I implement them? The answer is no. We'll never, ever implement these action plans right now. Why? Because these action plans are very important for me, very crucial for my project. Can these action plans fail? Why not? Every action plan can fail. I cannot afford these action plans to fail. Otherwise, my project will fail. So I must safeguard these action plans. I must vaccinate these action plans. So before these action plans are implemented, I must do like a risk management for this action plan. I must safeguard. What if it goes wrong? Can it? Yes. Every action plan can go wrong. So I need to be prepared. I want to be proactive instead of reactive. So what if it happens? Because risk is everywhere. Risk can happen and like things can go wrong. And that's what you're not planned for. Like COVID. COVID happened just like that. Nobody had an idea about this COVID. It just happened. A new risk, unidentified, unthinkable risk came into picture. Well, we spent about a year or 2 years just understanding what is it, how to deal with it, how to work with the same, because risk was still there. I would like, well, can we say risk is gone? No. But we are much better planned now. We're much better equipped now. So, well, whatever may be the scenario, we do not want to be in another scenario like a COVID, wherein the risk has happened and you have no idea how to deal with it. So wherever we have a possibility, we'll first try to go and explore every possible failure which can happen. Can you guarantee that you've found all possible failures? No. Well, we'll try at least whatever we can discuss and explore. This may happen, that may happen, all what if scenarios, and safeguard those action plans with those acts. So we'll look at a quick example. I will be sharing the document and template which we use for this risk management. So we'll be covering up now a term called FMEA, failure modes and effects analysis. This is what we prepare. It's for risk management of all those action plans, and very, very critical document. We'll be looking at the example, and then we'll look at the actual template also. First of all, let's try to understand, relate how FMEA is created. The actual template, let me rather open up the template also side by side so we can talk about it. FMEA, let's kind of talk about this. This is the actual template. We'll quickly have an overview of this template also in a moment. There's the template. There are some scoring methods, these are what we will quickly understand. And then some rating scales, global standard rating scales are there. So we'll talk about it. But first of all, let's try to relate it in a very common layman language. So conceptually clear about what is an FMEA. Let's see that. Yeah, I'll be sharing that today itself. I'll be sharing that. So, and it's very much required to have an FMEA done. It doesn't matter whether you have a Six Sigma project or not. Every department should have FMEA done without any fail, because this is way too critical to safeguard yourself. If I'm not improving, at least I need to secure what we have. I don't want to lose what I have. So security is very important. You may want to do better, continuous improvement, but one failure can damage everything, and we cannot afford. So, well, I need to safeguard. That's the first priority. And when you safeguard, then you can try with various improvement methods and all. So safeguarding, this is very, very much required. Whether you're doing a project or not doing a project, FMEA is an integral part. So let's understand in a very simple, logical way, day-to-day life example, and then we'll look at the template also. So we picked up a small, very simple example, which is about, we want to withdraw cash, as an action plan. When you say action plan, some strategy, so that's what we call as process step. Process step is what you will be doing, a strategy, an action plan that you prepared, like your 5 analysis has happened, your experts have discussed and come up with some action plan. So you will be implementing an action plan. That's what you will be writing here. Action plan will be written in the process step box. So here we've taken an action plan, like I want to withdraw cash. I want to go to an ATM. And while I go to an ATM, I will like to withdraw the money. So that's an action I want to perform. And now as a team, we are trying to discuss and explore what may go wrong. I go to the ATM. We want to explore about potential failure modes. What may go wrong when I want to withdraw the cash? Okay, I put in the PIN card, I punch in the PIN number, and I don't get the cash. Is it possible? Yes, why not? Cash did not come out. It's possible. I put in the card, I punch in the PIN number, I did not get the cash, but I get a message instantly that your balance has been debited. Your whatever account has been debited. Is it possible? Yes. Well, it has happened, at least with me for sure. So it does happen. Can there be more failures? Yes. So every action plan that you want to perform, there can be multiple possible failures with one action plan, and I need to plan for them. Now, we have discussed about the potential failures. This may happen, that may happen. When you do this activity, you will try to understand how bad is it, like to the customer, to the project, to the process. If this failure happens, how disastrous it would be. Well, we say somebody who was getting late to office wanted to withdraw the money because probably I had less fuel. So I had to stop at a gas station, get the fuel. So I'm trying to withdraw cash from an ATM. I was already getting late. Now what happened? I'm a definitely dissatisfied customer. Why? Because to find this ATM, I've driven about like 5 kilometers extra to reach this ATM. Now I'm trying to withdraw the money. The money is not coming out. I have to find another ATM, drive again. I'm obviously a dissatisfied customer. So it is definitely not good for the customer. This guy is absolutely irritated. Why? Because I did not get the money. I'm already getting late. I have less fuel. And now I have to find one more ATM. But if I can't, I can't even, probably that was the only money I had in my account. So now I can't even go to another ATM to find the money. I have to call up the customer service and explain them that I tried to withdraw the money. It did not come out. My balance got debited. You have to get my money back. Bottom line, this guy is absolutely irritated to the core. We do assessment of every failure on a rating of 1 to 10. It's fixed. In FMEA, standard scale is 1 to 10. We will do 3 rating or evaluation of every failure on 3 criteria: severity of the failure, which is here, occurrence of the failure, which is here, and detection of the failure, which is here. So 3 parameters on which this evaluation will be done. Now, it is more of a subjective discussion within a group of experts. But again, there is a standard scale also which can help the team to come up with a consensus. So we'll have a discussion, brainstorming. I may say rating of 4, you may say 7. There can be difference. And so I'll explain my logic. You'll explain your logic. Practically, we will have to come to consensus. And we can always refer to the standard table and say, what is 1, what is 2, what is 3. So we can come up with consensus there. So hypothetically, the team discussed and brainstormed. How severe is it? So severity is a scale of like how bad is it? 1 means it's not even worth calling as a failure. It's nothing. Ignore it. It's nothing. This failure is not even worth calling as a failure. 10 is disastrous, fatal, hazardous. Like technically, like a COVID. COVID got a rating of 10. Like act of war, a nuclear disaster. Something, well, you can't think worse of that. So 10 is the worst scenario which can happen. Well, that's what I'm talking like in a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is nothing. You don't have a 0. And it's not even worth calling as failure. Lowest possible impact. Lowest possible. 10 is like worst. It can't. So on a scale of 1 to 10, say team said, well, you didn't get the money. I understand you're dissatisfied customer. But it's not like life has come to an end. Well, you definitely not happy. You have to find one more ATM. So not so much. Well, so we can give a rating of, say, you could have given a 4 or 3, something like that. All the team sort of like believe that, okay, let's give a rating of 5. And you can always refer to the table to understand the right rating. This one definitely calls for more because this guy did not get the money, but it's bad. Why? Because this guy have to now doesn't have the money to find another ATM also, because that was the only money I had in my account. This could be you could give a 9 also. I'm fine with it because you will get the money, but again, it's unnecessary and too much of pain for the customer. Unnecessary pain. So we're given a higher rating. Now comes in the next condition is potential causes. Why would cash not come out of the ATM? Well, pretty much it's a busy location, busy area. People have withdrawn the money. There's a limited cash in an ATM. People have withdrawn all the money. There's no cash left in the ATM. That's why you didn't get the cash. Well, logical reason, yeah. Why would this money did not come out from the, you didn't get the money, but on top of it, your balance got debited? Well, it's quite possible. It's a software glitch, a network failure, internet failure. Something has happened. Anyway, there's a software which is involved in a ATM also. There could be some sort of programming fail, some sort of error, which is technical glitch has happened. Well, that is a potential cause why your money got debited, even though you did not get the money. Now we look at occurrence. What is the probability that this failure will happen? And now when we say 1 means rarest possible occurrence, it may not happen probably ever again. 1 is like, it's a rarest possible incident. It may not happen ever again. 10 is when I say it's going to happen very frequently, very, very frequently, like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, very frequently. COVID got a rating of 10. We all know whenever somebody, 1 person got infected, so many people get infected, and the frequency of that is so high, the failure gets repeated, 1 person, and it creates a chain. COVID got a rating of 10 here also. 1 is like rarest possible incident. It may not happen ever again. Something which is rarest. Well, when I talk about getting the ATMs getting out of cash, does it happen? Yeah, I won't say like rarest possible. We see that at times we go to an ATM, there's no cash in the ATM. So there is a probability that it happens. It's not like it doesn't happen, but I won't say like every time it's not there. Sometimes it's not there. So the team has agreed on a rating of 3 out of 10. And even for the net, at least I know for sure it has happened with me. But you get the money back. It comes back within 72 hours time, this one. But again, it takes some time, but it does happen, but rare, less rare than the This one, so we gave a rating of 1, 2. I won't give a 1 because it's like almost nothing. No, it happens. It happens. So this is also a probability which happens. So on a scale of 1 to 10, we give a rating of 2. Now comes in another question, the current controls in your process. Well, if this failure, which is ATM getting out of cash, if it happens, do you have a current system right now which can help you detect this failure? Well, do we have it? Yeah, why not? Every bank has a policy. Depending on the location, depending on the bank policy, you will have a certain threshold limit. So if it's a very, very busy location, I might have a threshold limit of, say, $50,000 for an ATM. If it's a remote location, somebody like probably in a village kind of area with less population, that limit could be $5,000. The moment the balance goes below this threshold limit, because here people are like, it's a metropolitan city, some sort of shopping mall where the ATM is, a lot of people are visiting, so the balance will be, people will keep withdrawing. So the limit is quite high. The balance they will be keeping is quite high. Whereas in a village, like a probably remote area, less people are frequent visiting. So we have a threshold limit. So moment the balance goes below the threshold limit, there's an instant alert sent from the ATM to the bank, centralized banking system, that so-and-so ATM at so-and-so location, balance has gone below the threshold. Please send people to refill the cash. Same goes for this. So depending on location and depending on bank policy, they have a policy, which is always there. So do we have a system? Yeah, we have a low alert cash. Alert system is there. How about this network failure thing? Yeah, we do have a system in place. Like by the end of the day, we do have at the end of 24 hours, by the way. By the end of 24 hours, we have a credit and debit, which we look at the credit and debit. The ledger balances are checked and we see, okay, there's a discrepancy in the credit and debit balance. So bottom line, there is extra cash left in the ATM because people did not get the money. And then the ledger part, there is a balance left there. So bottom line, we look for this, and then we try to understand whenever this network glitch happened, how many active users were there who got impacted. And then again, probably another 48 hours to return the money. So there is a process which takes about like the total of 72 hours to get the money back to the customer, which is a painful process. So, well, does it happen? Yes. Do we get to know? It's a delay, like quite a delay, like a 24 hours to get to know there is a problem. So primarily, we do have a detection. Now what is detection here? One, detection means instant. You get to know immediately there's a problem. It's not a problem, right? When you can detect it easily, we give a rating of 1. It's not a big problem. Like you're sitting in a room, there's a power failure. Is it instant? Yeah, I can figure out. I can switch on the power backup, see what's wrong. I can do something about it when there is a problem which has happened. Instant detection. If you can detect it, it's not a problem. But when you can't detect, it becomes risky. Like COVID, got a rating of 10. COVID is undetectable. Like when the person sitting next to me, having lunch, shaking hands and practically doing whatnot, and this guy is infected. Forget I know or not, but this guy himself is not aware he's been infected. So detectability is just not there. You're living with the risk and you have no idea. Risk is very high. So when the detectability is high, unlike not possible, then your risk goes high. So detection in this case, you'll be given 10. 10 means you can't detect once it's instant detection. So we look for if the low alert cash system you have in the system, when the ATMs are getting out of cash, do you get to know instantly? Ideally not. Well, it takes some time. Sometimes, even though with this internal system in place, some ATMs still go out of cash. Yes, yeah, does, because whenever banks are going to get in this alert, they will get alert for different locations. And bank will not have different people at different same. There'll be one team will be going to all the locations one by one. And by the time you reach to ATM, people have already withdrawn the money. Even though there is an alert, but by the time we reach, the money would have been taken out. So the detection system is there, but can get better. But yes, it's not that it's bad. It's a quite good detection system. You got a low, like easy detection, which is 3 is easy detection, but can get better, which will give us more time here. And same goes for this, like 24 hours delay is there. So we do get to know about it, but it's sort of a little delayed. So it can get better. So we get to know, say, after 24 hours, who got impacted, whose money has to be returned and all that. So we do have a system, but not that instant detection sort of thing. So we will get the rating done again, wherever there will be discrepancy it's a subjective discussion which will happen. So there will be discrepancy here, which is okay. And that's why we have the standard table. We can look at what is 1, what is 2, and we have a table for severity separately, We have table for occurrence separately. We have a table for detection separately, which is what is 1, what is 2, what is 3 is there. So you can always refer to, but it's still a subjective discussion. All in all, when you get this ratings done, you come to this section called RPN. RPN stands for risk priority number, which is multiply these three ratings. So 5 multiplied by 3 will give you RPN number. 8 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 4 will give you RPN number. So risk priority number is how you decide which will be my priority of the risk. And there will be different risks with different priority levels. So we'll be always going in an order of highest RPN first. In a decreasing order of RPN number, we will prioritize. So if I look at this RPN number, I can get the lowest RPN number could be 1. Why? Because I can get a severity of 1, occurrence of 1, detection of 1. So my overall RPN will be 1 only in that case. Or if I'm doing if I have 10, 10, 10, so I can have a maximum RPN number could be of 1000. So the range I can see here in the RPN number could be anywhere between 1 to 1000. Now, when I look at this RPN range, practically I'll always go with the highest priority always. Now, there's quite a possibility that you may get into trouble with this logic of highest priority always. Why? Because you could get this scenario, which we have just tried to kind of create here. This is a scenario we're looking at risks. There are 5 different risks. We have got their severity, occurrence, detection, and we've got RPN numbers done, risk priority number. The rule says always go with the highest priority RPN number. So we'll know this is the first. So now these are the highest number. Now, which one is the first one? I have no idea because it's highest. But given that I know, I will have to give a priority 1, 2, 3 for them. But which one will be first? 1, 2, 3. Well, let's talk about later. But I know 1, 2, 3 will come from here only because they're all the same. But I know clearly based on the RPN number, this will be the 4th, which is 4th highest. This will be 5th, which is 5th highest. So I know at least 4th and 5th positions are clear because they are in a decreasing order. They are 4th highest and this is 5th highest. But 1, 2, 3, which one will be picked up as first risk? Which one will be picked up as second risk and third risk? So the rule says if the RPN is same, which can be there, you will see which one has highest severity. If I look at this, highest severity, now risk number 2 will lose there. The battle now is between severity, risk 1 and risk 3. So this has low severity in comparison. So this becomes a third risk now. Now the battle is between first and second risk. The severity is also same here. If there's the same severity, then we'll see which is highest occurrence. So here it is 6, here it is 5. So I'll say highest occurrence. So I'll pick this as my first risk. This is second risk. This is third. This is fourth. And this is third. So this is how we decide the priority of a risk. RPN number is what we will be working on. So when you have got your RPN number done, I know what's my priority, which will be handled first, second, third, and all 4. So then it talks about the recommended action, which is about action plans, which will be created. Now, whenever we talk about action plan, well, we use this term called RTPs, risk treatment plan. A common methodology, whenever we go, we always use a three-layer action plan. Not 1, but 3-layer action plan. You just can't sit down and say, okay, let's start discussion about, no, you have to have a discussion with your team on 3-layer action plans. And whatever action plans you'll decide, you will assign somebody's responsibility because somebody has to implement that action plan. And with the deadline that by so-and-so date, you should complete this action plan because you need to see safeguarding. Remember, you have not implemented the actual action plans. You have created those action plans. You've discussed about the risk of those action plans. And you're trying to safeguard this. So these are only risk management plans. So you will have somebody's assigned responsibility to complete that risk management plan. And then with the deadline, so we can implement the planned action plans, which we have. So all in all, this section is what we need to understand is RTP, which is risk treatment plan, which is we're saying action recommended. What will be the 3-layer action plan? We always should go in that order. So typically the risk treatment plan or the recommended action, we should have 3 layers. First layer is let's discuss. Don't sit down and have a discussion. If this failure happens, what will I do? No, that's not what you're going to be doing. First, start having a discussion. What can we do to stop the failure? Why are you starting with a negative thing first? Why are you saying that risk will happen? Then what will I do? Let's talk about what can you do to stop the failure from the first place. If you can do that, there's no problem then. So first, have a discussion with your team. if in case there is a risk, this failure may happen. Let's try to explore what can be done to stop the failure from happening in the first place. We call it as preventive action plan. In Japanese, they call it as a poka yoke. The same thing is called poka yoke. It's also got name of error proofing or mistake proofing. Simple logic is that make your process, your system so robust that even if you want to make a failure, you cannot. Even if you want terribly, like if you really want to make a mistake, you can't just make a mistake. It will not let you make a mistake. That's what we call as poka yoke. Error proofing, mistake proofing. You cannot make a mistake even by a mistake. So that's the best situation to be in. But again, let's talk about a few examples of poka yoke, which is all around us. If you talk about your pen drive, you put your pen drive in a laptop. There's only one direction how you can put a pen drive in a laptop. You try other ways, it will break the socket, the board, where the place you're putting it. That's a certain design. It's by mistake proofed by design. You have a SIM card. The design of a SIM card, there's a certain slot which is in a certain design. So you can only use SIM card in a mobile phone in a certain way. For example, when we driving a car, and this is pretty much I'm not sure I'll be able to explain that part here. This is car fuel tank lid. Let me just see, what is that? Oh yeah, this is the one. Stop. So when we drive a car and within the car, like when we're sitting in the car, we open up the lid. This is the portion which gets the flap which gets opened up, and that you do it from within the car. There's a flap which gets opened up. This guy will open this, and like there's a screw which is gonna do like this thing. This thing is gonna open up, get the fuel in, and then pretty much tighten the screw. Now, in this position, right now is filled in the fuel, tighten the cap, but this flap is not closed. If you try to start the car, your car will not start. Try whatever you want. If your flap is not closed, or even though it's just a flap, which you open from within the car, within the car when you open it up, but this screw is tightened up and everything is done, the flap is still open, you won't start the car. You try it, you keep trying, nothing will happen. Unless you close this lid, it will not start the car. That's when mistake proof, because there's a big risk of what if there's a possibility of some air and it's not tightened properly. If by mistake, and you do this ignition, because of ignition, the fuel will come in direct contact with oxygen, the car will become like it's more of a bomb then. It's very important to ensure that, yes, that mistake is taken care of. So primarily they have got mistake proof. Unless this lid is closed, you're trying to go and make sure the car is not going to start. Simple as that. So all mistake proofing, it needs some sort of thing. People will do it from a design part of it, like from the very beginning, from the initial core. You make your system so robust that even if you want, you can't make a mistake. That's the best part to be in. Well, can you mistake proof everything? The answer is no. So, but at least first discussion should start from here, because that's the best form. If you can prevent it, there's no point in talking about something else. There's no way the mistake will happen. That's the best situation. So, well, if in case you can't prevent it, well, then you have to think about the second layer of action plan, where at the time of failure, pretty much I need early warning signals. I want the system to be, if you can't stop it, at least give me warning. Help me understand there's a problem which is about to happen, so I can be more prepared. I can take some actions. It will minimize, and probably I will be, system can't stop it. At least I can do some action to stop and manage this. By design, it cannot stop it, but at least give me warning. If you can't stop it from happening, because everything can't be stopped by design. So this is early warning signals, and that's what we will see in process. When you have a control chart, control charts act as early warning signal. Control chart cannot stop your process from failing. No. Control charts are early warning signal. Before a problem becomes a problem, it will be very, very, very early stage, and control charts will start detecting the problem from there on. It will warn you. It will give you warning. If you want to see the control chart and see the warnings and ignore them, then it's your problem. I can't stop your process from failing, but I'm telling you time and again, there is something wrong. Please investigate. Please take corrective action. If you want to ignore it, then it's your problem. I can't stop it, but I'll give you warning. It's your job to take action. So control charts can stop it, but will make you aware. So before a problem becomes a problem, you'll always know it. So you can always fix it before you see a problem coming into picture. There are tons of examples of early warning signals around us. When you're writing an email and you make a grammatical error, you see the red line which tells you that there's a grammatical error in there. You have to do a spell check and correct it. Can I still send this email like that? Yes, why not? I can still say that. Well, it has given you a warning to correct that. But if it's your problem, you don't want to work on it, it's your problem. Driving a car, you're not wearing a seatbelt. You get that irritating noise of the seatbelt. You see the indicator telling you you're not wearing seatbelt. It's risky. It could be life-threatening. It's your problem now if you don't want to still wear your seatbelt. I've done my job. I can't stop you from driving, buddy, but I've given you warning. It's your job now to take this warning seriously and wear the seatbelt. We're not like when you talk about, again, driving a car, fuel tank indicator, telling me you're low fuel, stop at a gas station, get the fuel. You don't want to do that? Well, be my guest. I don't have a problem. You will be stuck somewhere without any fuel. Bottom line, I can't stop you from doing it, but you have to be smart enough to take those warning signals. If you don't do that, then it's your problem. Then we can't do much about it. And then we talk about if the failure has actually happened. So technically, I will have to safeguard my process from that, my system from that. And that's what we talk about contingency plan, the backup plan, the fallout plan, and say which we talk about like business continuity plan, disaster recovery plan. Something may have happened. So failure has happened. All I need to know is minimize the damage. That's what we cover in the contingency plan. So backup plan, if this happens, what will we do? A failure has happened. We had tried everything, but now if it still happens, what can I do to minimize the damage? So please keep this in mind. The preventive action plan will come first because we want the best way to, where we always say prevention is better than cure. And the preventive will come first and the corrective action. So contingency plan or you can say corrective action will come later. Now, if you look at the current world scenario also, you saw the vaccine, COVID vaccine, right? COVID vaccine is not a medicine. COVID vaccine is a preventive one. Vaccine is for prevention. So first thing people designed was prevention because prevention is better than cure. If it can stop the COVID from happening, there's no point in worrying about it. So first thing which was designed and developed was a vaccine. And now the companies, you'll see, I'm sure some companies are already at the stage of having a medicine. Medicine is when you assume that the person has been infected. So probably your vaccine has failed or you have not taken a vaccine and things, it has happened now. Then the corrective action, the medicine come into picture. So practically when you talk about medicine, it's about curing somebody who has been infected. So then the damage has happened. Now we want to minimize the damage by corrective. So medicines are already in and we will see in coming days. Well, probably if they have not been, I've not been following that. But last I heard, they were already 3 or 4 companies who are actually very close of kind of having a medicine for the people who may have taken a vaccine or not taken a vaccine. But yes, it's more about curing them with this COVID sort of thing. So yes, because there are a lot of mutations and all that we have. So all in all, it's all about corrective action. So this is always going to come first and this will come later always. So first people were only going after preventive because that's the best way to deal with it. Let's say, and we've taken like an example of a fire, like there's a risk of fire. That's a risk. It may happen. So my preventive action plan could be regular maintenance, regular audits. Will it eliminate the chance of having a failure? No, actually not. It's still after having regular maintenance, regular audits, my process, we can have an incident fire. But this reduces the chance to a great extent if you have got regular maintenance, regular audits. The chances that you will have fire like related risk will be very, very, very less. But yes, I can't say 100% gone. So if you can't prevent it, well, can you make it detectable? And that's why you have smoke detectors. The moment there's the earliest possible like incident of smoke detectors can detect, and then you have got the sprinklers will come into action. So at the time, early warning signals will start working. And if it has failed, and even though fire has it has caught fire, then you have all those alternative actions which we talk about. We prepare ourselves for what if scenario if it has happened. It has happened. Then we talk about sand buckets, fire extinguishers, sprinklers, which is what we talk after the failure, exit plan, the smoke drills we do, the insurance of the facility. So every plan is actually made at 3 different layers. First, to prevent. Second is which early detection comes into picture, which will give me some time, little edge to be able to handle it correctly. And then if it has happened, then what will I do after that? So this additional thing will come into picture. So we got to keep one thing in mind. You're preparing the risk management plan, but this is the only document which will be called as it's a live document, will never die. Right now, you will be doing this job and like throughout the project. But once this project is over, you will hand over this FMEA to the process owners, because risk will never die. Can your RPN be zero? No, never. You cannot bring this RPN to zero ever, because the lowest RPN is 1. So you can control risk, but never eliminate risk. Well, COVID has come in our lives and it will live with us. This COVID is going to stay with us till the time life exists on this planet. Risk, once identified, cannot be eliminated. Risk can come back again, the same form or change its form. So when you got the vaccine, we thought it's gone. No, it's not gone. Well, when you take a vaccine, then you talk about new risk, which has come along with it. Risk never dies. You take a vaccine, now you talk about the COVID side, the vaccine side effects. You're talking about the different kind of mutations we have, alpha, beta, theta, gamma. Well, now you have a risk whether this vaccine we have taken, will it be effective against the mutations, which we know or which will come in the future? Do we have to take vaccine every year? Who knows? So now, although we try to control one action, one risk, you have newer risk created. Risk never dies. Same risk may reoccur or it may change its form and come back. So risk never dies, and you have to constantly do it. So you can't say that FMEA will be closed ever. FMEA is never closed. It's the only live document which will never close. You hand over this to the process owner. Well, my project is getting over. I have managed the risk for your process. Now it's your job. Please manage from here on. So you will hand over this document to the process owner. So FMEA is a live document always here. Pretty quick one. Will there be post FMEA after implementing recommendations? We will always do that. There will be, yes, and we'll be looking at the template there, and so there will be posted, and that's a review mechanism. So we'll be seeing the actual template also. Okay, Mr. Khan, preventive is before the failure and corrective is after the failure. Preventive action plan is to stop the failure before the failure. This will ensure the failure doesn't happen. But if it has happened, then the corrective will come into picture. This is after failure. One is before, one is after. Is it clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Look at the template now. We'll then look at the template one here. So you've taken so you can fill in this like a template basically. This is the process step. So some action plan that you're going to do, your team can decide about the potential failures, and can be one action plan can have like 5-7 different failures also. The team can discuss. We'll discuss about the potential impact on the customer. Then the rating scale. So rating scale, the table is given here also, but we have table downstairs. Like we can put the ratings here. Potential causes, why it may happen. Again, the rating for causes, the occurrences. And then we talk about current controls in the system, which again a detection. So all this file has given, but we don't want to read here. That is given, and this is automatically calculated RPN number. So based on which we'll prepare action plans. We'll give somebody the responsibility and target date. And yes, you might want to keep this extra tab called whether the action has been, this recommended action has been done, it's in progress or has not been started. You can keep the action. Say you've done this job in the first of the month, like first year, like in the month of January, you completed this. Now this is a revised one. Later on, this extra part will come into picture. It's about revise. So this is still here. This is the first discussion we had. We prepared some action plan. So now, at what frequency would you discuss this and revisit because of your action plans, because of your strategy? You would have been able to control the risk and minimize the risk in the system. So you want to, and probably new risk might have come into picture also. So yes, you have to constantly work on this one. So, well, some companies use FMEA revision, like every 3 months. You would want it. Worst case scenario, you should do it at least every 6 months. So, well, again, there's nothing called right or wrong. You decide as a team how frequently you want to revisit the FME and see how it is working now. So you can look at the old, like this is the old one, say we did it. Now, because of your action plan strategies, say after 3 months, we want to do a revision again. So this is the revised one. The original one is what date, revision or so-and-so date. And now you look at the same risk because of your action plans and all. Last time you gave a severity of it. Because of your action plans and strategies, do you think the severity has gone down because of your action plan? Yeah, probably we have been able, because we have been able to maintain the good action plan and all. Now this severity has gone down to 5. Well, earlier we say that the frequency is very, very high, 10. Yeah, it has been controlled a lot because of our action plan. Now it's gone to 4. And detection level was not just there, 10. We're not able to detect. Now we have make it more detectable. It's easier to detect. So we can say this is like something like 5. Look at this. Now the old RPN number was 800, the new RPN, the revised. So this is called residual RPN. Residual is left out risk in the system. So residual RPN is what you say. Earlier it was 800. Because of your strategies, your action plans, you brought this risk to 100. Now you will try to revisit again later on. What is the remaining risk remaining? You try to squeeze in the risk as and when you can't. You can go lowest up to 1. You continue to try to work on it and revise and bring it down. But again, can it go up? Yes. If one of the some weird thing happened, so things will happen. It's a live document. So you might want to revisit it, but as a standard practice, you can decide about like 3 months or 6 months. That you can be kept as a frequency of revisiting. So every action plan has to be planned here. This is to start with. Yes, we will be able to create one, but once you've done it for one project, this will become very easy reference document for future projects because risk, companies, culture, procedures will all be the same. So it will, once you need to get it started, then going forward, the company which has done multiple projects has the experience of handling this risk. Your company will be more stable in terms of managing the risk. So it's always companies who are into projects and with maintaining this. Subsequent time, you will not be investing that kind of time because you can reuse the material you created in one project can be applied for other projects also. So it's a companies, we call them in a project management world, we call it OPA. OPA is the term we call as organizational process assets. They're all historical information and which will help the future project owners to plan their projects better because somebody who did a project earlier faced these challenges. So I have to prepare, I have to make sure that I don't make the same mistake which somebody had made in the past. So we'll all be able to use this. It's the live document which will continue to work. Again, these are the rating mechanisms. So team will discuss and explore the possible factors and all. And yes, we can use the severity guidelines, occurrence guidelines. We can talk about the detection guidelines. So this can help us understand the process better. Like, so having a discussion where we'll ensure that people are not making vague comments. Well, people can sit down. It's still a subjective discussion, but wherever there's too much of discrepancy, you can always refer to the table and get to a common consensus. So that's how you do with FMEA here. It is very, very important document. And yes, I said like whether you're doing a project or not, you must have FMEA in place. Every department should have one. It is going to streamline process. Very important element is FMEA. We've learned PMP. They talk about a smaller version of this, very, very small version. But in PMP, we also talk about risk management. And risk management, they talk about a risk register. Risk register is a very smaller version of this one, but a risk register works on. So if I say risk register is a very simple to do with this like a document, but updated, a much comprehensive version is your FMEA of that. But they both, the PMP material, they only talk about risk register. But I would say the more expanded and more exhaustive version is FMEA for that. So please, ideally, we should have FMEA in the place. But again, one important thing I really want to make sure before we kind of close this topic here, FMEA, when do you create it? Well, that's important part to keep in mind. If I go back here, there's a project roadmap, and let's see, FMEA, or the project roadmap, when did we create FMEA? Like in real project, we are learning this right now, but where do FMEA we create? This is a defined phase. In the defined phase, you create FMEA. We create FMEA, but we'll discuss this in improve phase, and that's why we're discussing it here. Well, why? Well, just help me understand, did your risk start now? In the improve phase, did your risk start right now? No. My risk has already started in defined phase. Did you had any challenges and things could have gone wrong in your project in defined phase? Yes. Selecting a wrong team member, giving a wrong responsibility to people whom I have selected for my project, like say 2 or 3 of them, they like the mass attrition has happened. They leave the company. Something has gone wrong. Can it happen in defined phase? Yes. So my FMEA will ideally be created in the defined phase. The moment the project is approved, some of the people will start working on FMEA in the defined phase itself. Risk has started. The project started, risk starts. While you're in improve measure phase, do you have risk? Yes, why not? What if I don't do a proper sample size calculation? What if we don't have a proper sampling methodology or training done? MSA errors are there. Bottom line, we think of what if, what needs to be done. So you update FMEA about the task, given the kind of activities, the task you will be performing in the measure phase. You want to see in what ways that the task can fail. And you update your FMEA. You come to analyze phase. You have to again update FMEA. Why? Because there are different kind of challenges. You do a fishbone diagram. What if we sit down for fishbone diagram? People don't give you enough suggestions. People are like, we keep asking people, why don't you give us some suggestion? What can go wrong? They don't have an idea. They don't have. So that's why I don't have proper FMEA done, like proper fishbone diagram will not get probable root causes. While performing the analysis, something may go wrong. All that part will come into picture. All of a sudden, we discuss this in improve phase. Why? Because all of a sudden, this will become a massive document. Because here you will prepare action plan. And say, if you have, say, 10 action plans, just think about like why this are we discussing here? Because here we will be creating action plans. And these action plans all of a sudden will become a massive document. As I say, for example, just a matter of fact, so we had prepared 10 action plans. If we prepared 10 action plans and we're going to make an FMEA for those 10 action plans, if for every action plan, just hypothetically, we have, say, just three possible failures. So we discuss about this may go wrong, that may go wrong. So for every action plan, on average, we've got 3 possible failures. That means you have got 30 possible failures to cover. You have 30 possible failures to manage. So if you have to implement 10 action plans, you have to cover up yourself from 30 possible failures. And for each failure, so hypothetically, just number of action plans per failure, just an approximate number. Let's keep it like two action plans, 2 risk management action plans, which we prepare like a preventive plan, backup plan, the contingency plan, the early warning signals, whatever we have to, if we have even 2 action plans per failure, then you've got 60 in total. In that case, you'll have 2 multiplied by 30 failures, which is going to be 60 risk management action plans. So to implement 10, you have got 60 to cover. It's a massive document will turn out to be. Well, very, very simple maths. You can figure out how big it can become. And that's why we study this in improve phase. But please keep this in mind from job interview perspective. They ask you this question because they know that this topic is always taught in the improve phase. Books have it, I mean, everywhere they talk about this in the improve phase. But is it created in improve phase? The answer is no. We got to understand no tool is linked with a phase. Every tool is linked with purpose. What is the purpose? Purpose of this tool is risk management. Where did my risk start? My risk started in define. So I will be creating in define. In every phase, this will be updated with create in define, update in measure, update in analyze, update in improve, update in control, and then hand over. Don't close, hand over to the process owner. Well, I have done my job. Now you handle from here on. So please keep that in mind. That's one thing from interview perspective. You got to be clear. It is done in the define phase, in the early part of the phase project, not in the later part. All we are studying it here doesn't matter. You create it here. You will be using this as a tool to safeguard your project. Your project has not become risky in the improve phase. Your project was risky the moment the management says, okay, start the project. Now you have a problem because they think everything needs to be done in a right way. So you would like to safeguard. So think about one project you do from end to end. You have a complete structure created for entire project. And all you, next time, if you hand over this entire framework to somebody, this guy will have a peace of mind. First time doing one project could be the big deal, yeah, because you're going to create it for the first time. Next time, it's a piece of cake. You walk, just have the concepts clear and it will just work easily. It's not a big deal. First time, I would 100% agree. There could be, things could be a little difficult, which is okay. It's absolutely fine. And that's why we want, when we kind of complete this training, we always recommend people to do a simulation project. Every time we ask people to do at least the simulation project. So even after, when your batch gets over, you complete your examination and then you join the project session, simulation project session. So you have a clarity how to start a project and how to end a project. We just had a simulation project is for this month. Every month we have it. So for this month, we had it like 2 days ago. Like it was, I guess, 22nd. Like we had this for this month, we had this project assignment session we had on 22nd. So every month it has, like in June also, we'll have most likely we have so by then you would have completed your examination also. Most likely for June, I think it's about 23rd or something like that. I need to still check, but again, it's more about, I guess 23rd is when we have it for next month. So it will be like this is like a half an hour session or like a 45-minute session where just projects are assigned. But then you will be starting with a project you work with. Yeah. So you don't work in groups. You do it individually, and you will be required to install the Minitab then, so that you are able to utilize Minitab given the problem you have been given. So you have the different projects to select from. You pick up the project, you do the project, and while doing the project, you are going back and referring to your recorded videos and see what was discussed, how the test was done, and same thing you apply on the data. So while learning, practicing it and doing it on, so you're learning Minitab and you're completing project also parallelly with that project. So it will bring everything, like the clarity will come into picture. So we always recommend, just to make sure the first timer feeling is not there. When you really do the project in real world, you not get the feeling of I'm doing it for first time, because you've done the simulation projects. It will give you so much of confidence. So we always recommend people doing that. And but that's a later part of the thing. But is it okay and clear? The FMEA part, is it okay with everyone? Quick check on this section. Okay. Given the time, I guess we have got 4 more minutes left, and we don't want to be getting into this one right now. Let's do one thing. Is it okay we can take a break right about 4 minutes early? Which is, I think there should not be a problem. Let's do one thing. Let's connect in another 30 minutes from now, and we resume in 30 minutes as per your respective time zone. And we'll resume in 30 minutes from now and continue from there. Okay with everyone? Let's please take a break. All right, so we can get started now. I guess we're back from the break. Okay, perfect. Let's then get started. So before the break, we discussed about your why analysis. We discussed about FMEA. Now, at this stage, when you have implemented the risk management plan, our action plans are safeguarded. Now it's time for us to execute the action plans for the first time. Now, please keep this in mind. At this stage, when your risk management plans are done, I want to implement the action plan. At this stage, I will collect some data. Some data, which I will call as week 0 data. Why? Because before this, I have not made any changes with the process. And now I will start sort of making changes with the process, and I need to see the improvement. So before and after analysis, I need some sort of improvement to be gauged. So I will collect data here. This is before implementation. So this will be like my baseline where I know for sure, well, from here on, I will start improving. So I will collect the week 0 data. And now after collecting this data, I will start implementing my action plans. And well, when do you implement this action plan? After implementing your action plan, it depends on you primarily. There's no guideline or rule. Most companies do a weekly report. So you can collect data every week or every 15 days, depending on what is preferred. But most of the companies, when they do projects, they do a weekly report. So like I'm going with the same like logic that I will collect data at the end of 1 week. After 1 week of implementation has happened, I will try to collect data to see, was there an improvement? Because based on what we collected in week 0, because of 1 week of implementation, do you see an improvement? And remember, you started a project with a target. There was a target in the goal statement, project charter. You had to achieve the target. That's why you are trying to solve a problem here and achieve a certain target. I want to see whether did you achieve the target. Since you're talking about only normal data right now, we'll only stick to one target, which is average based target. There can be other targets also, median based target, median based, like the median based, variance based, count based, percentage based, which we'll cover tomorrow when we get to that part of non-normal part of it. But right now, we'll just kind of deal here with only average. So if your target is, and if you understand one, everything is the same. So you just need to understand one simple cycle. So all the thing which will change with other targets is the name of the test. That's it. So only the name of test will change. Nothing else will change. So after 1 week, I will collect data and I will see, did I meet my target, which is average based target? I will perform a test called one sample t-test. One sample t-test is meant to check if I have achieved my average target. Like what could be my target like this? I may be trying to increase average or I may be trying to reduce average, like increase average production, increase average sales, increase average revenue, increase average profit. Increasing average is good for me. So that could be the kind of project I may have worked on. Or about reducing something, like reduce average cost, reduce average handling time, something to reduce. So, but all in all, everything has an average target, average. So you're talking about a target which is average based. I will perform one sample t-test. This is to check and prove whether you have achieved the target or not. So let's go back and try this out. Now, after 1 week of implementation, I would have collected some data, and I'm just trying to see whether did I achieve my target or not. So we picked up a sample data, how to see the improvement, how to gauge the improvement, whether did we achieve a significant improvement, did we achieve target. And honestly, within a week's time, I'm not expecting a miracle to happen, but it's a process which has started now. Say, hypothetically, we had a target to reduce the average handling time, average turnaround time, whatever, some average-based target. And my target was to reduce it below 13 minutes. So the current average handling time is very, very high. And I would like to reduce this average handling time below 13 minutes. So 13 minutes has been given to me as a target. The management target was to reduce the average handling time below 13, bring it below 13. And currently maybe like 18, 20, something like that. So after for the first week of implementation, I end up collecting some data. I will only have 1 week data. So I go back and check whether did I achieve my target for 1 week, like after 1 week of implementation. So I go to stats, basic stats, and the test is one sample t-test. I will click on this. It's going to ask me for the data. Well, I'll select week 1 data. It says perform hypothesis test. Yes. Do we have a target? Yes, 13 minutes. Whatever we have committed to the management, we know our target already. So I put 13 minutes here. In the options tab, we have got 3 choices. Alternative hypothesis, expert claim. As an expert, what is that you're trying to claim here? Expert opinion. So I have 3 choices. One says mean, which is process mean, population mean, mu, is less than 13. Hypothesis mean is 13. Are you trying to prove this? Or are you trying to prove that population mean is not equal to 13? Or you're trying to prove that population mean is greater than 13? Like it's an average handling time, which I want to reduce. So I want to claim the first one. My claim is that because of my strategies, because of my initiative, I'm so brilliant that my strategies have resulted in reduction of average handling time of the process, and it's below 13. That's what my claim is. I click OK. And there's an option of graph. Let's use the graph also. You can pick anything, doesn't matter. But we'll pick up histogram. It's a better representation. I click OK, and that's it, done. So this is after 1 week of implementation. I want to see whether my process target has been achieved or not, and whether we have a significant improvement in the process mean or not. Now, first week, when I see this result, null hypothesis, null always is equal to, null says mu is equal to 13, where expert is saying no. Because of my strategies, I brought this population mean below 13. Looking at p-value, what do you conclude? A null or alternate? Is it null or would you go with alternate hypothesis?
Alternate.
Is it? Look at this p-value, 1.000. When p-value is
null.
Yeah, it is null. When p-value is less than 0.05, you say alternate. When p-value is more than 0.05, you say null. This is 1. It's null. And let's see why. That we also got to keep in mind. See, we picked up, say, randomly collected, say, 36 odd samples. I see my sample average is 16.5 minutes. Well, I'm not interested in sample average. Why? If you pick up 37 samples, this average will change again. If you pick up 32 samples, this will change. If you pick up 30 samples, this will change. Every time when sample average will change, it's of no use. And trust, my claim is not at sample level because samples will keep on changing. I don't care about sample. My area of interest is population, is that process change happening. I'm not interested in sample. So what I'm interested is this side, mu. It says, given your current process, your maximum upper bound, it says upper bound, which is the maximum population mean of your process, can hit a value of 18.05. So there is a probability that your population mean can hit a maximum mean of 18.05. And you saying that it's gone below 13, wake up. Well, that's being too optimistic about it. You've got a lot of work to be doing here because you are saying that population mean has gone below 13. No, sir. Your process can go and hit a maximum mean of 18.05 at population level. we're quite far off. We have to definitely work a lot. Let's see the chart also. We just scroll down and here we look at the chart, and here it tells me some more stories. So this is null, which is 13. And we see there is a good probability, by the way, a good probability that my population mean will be less than 13. There's a good probability. It can go quite low, but it's almost equal probability that it will be higher. So is there a probability it will be less than 13? Yes, but it's almost equal probability it will be high. How high? It can go up to 18.05 is the upper bound. So maximum my population mean can hit is 18.05. So, well, a lot of work still needs to be done. Obviously, I was not expecting a miracle to happen. So after 1 week of implementation, we will sit down as a process experts, as a team of experts, and we'll try to understand how did week 1 go. Obviously, some action plans may be still in the progress because it's too early to gauge the improvement because they're still in progress. They've been implemented. It takes time, like skill development, you're sort of coaching and developing the skill of the people. Training is going on. So some time will take for that. So they're still in progress. Some action plan may not have worked as per your expectation also. So you might need some adjustment with that. It's quite possible you might have identified a new risk factor while you implemented the action plan, which was not even thought of, because you can't think about every possible failure. So you'll make those corrections and then you'll continue with your execution with the revised action plan. And after end of 2nd week, you collect data again. Same drill. I still want to prove 2nd week report that my population mean has gone below 13. Still, I want to check with like 2nd week data. Still, my claim is the same. And I click OK and see null or alternate here. Null. So, well, Mr. Expert, well, be sorry, with all due respect, you are still wrong. Your claim has been rejected. Why? Because this is more than 0.05. We do not have enough statistical evidence to support your claim. Your claim has been denied. We'll continue to believe null. Bottom line, there is no evidence that population mean has gone below 13. Well, look at this sample average has already gone below 13. I am not interested. Why? Because next time you pick up another sample, probably pick up 40 samples, you might see an average of 10. And probably you might pick up another set of sample, like add 4 more samples, 2 more samples, and you might see a sample average of 14. It's possible. Sample averages do not tell me everything. What I'm interested in this is what I'm interested in. It's the maximum level of population mean is 13.4. Well, that's a big improvement. Well, it says your population mean can hit a maximum value of 13.4. Will it cross 13? Yes, it will cross 13. So yes, it is a great deal of improvement, but some work is still pending. So you must just continue working on it because it will. Can I say it has gone below 13? No, it is still, there is a probability left. It is going to cross 13. Let's see the charts. There's a huge probability it will go less than 13, but there's still some probability left where it will be crossing 13, up to 13.4. So you can't say that I've improved, like I've achieved the target. Definitely a big improvement, but there is still a probability that population mean can be up to 13.4. So well, let's continue implementation. And similarly, we'll go with the 3rd week and we go and collect some more data at the end of 3rd week. And this is where I get my 3rd week data and we'll test it with 3rd week data. Here, I will compare with this 3rd week and look at this population mean. Null or alternate here. It is absolutely yes.
Alternate.
It is. It is less than 0.05. So we say, well, that's enough statistical evidence. Null, you've been proven wrong. My expert is right. An expert, yes, you are absolutely correct in saying that your population mean has gone below 13 because worst case, maximum it'll go is up to 12.9 and that's it. It's less than 13. So it's not going to cross 13. Worst case is going to go to 12.9. That's less than 13. And yes, see, if I go back and look at this, there is the process change has been a significant one. There's no part of my process probability which is crossing 13. So my process maximum probability is, so this is null, which is 13 target. If I look at my population mean, maximum upper bound is 12.9. and that's less than 13. So yes, at this stage, I can declare, the management can declare, the people who are doing the projects can declare that we have enough statistical evidence that we have achieved the target which was set by the management. We have achieved it. By now, we have come up with a revised strategy. Obviously, my action plans might have changed a lot. We might have added new action plans and things that would have changed. But by this time, we have reached to a point where we have an excellent strategy which can get us this change. We have an excellent risk management plan which has helped us maintain this performance and ensure the process doesn't fail. Now, all you have to do is present this case in front of the management. Some bit of PowerPoint work. PowerPoint presentation work will be required to showcase to the management that change has happened. So you will have, you can prepare a week one, this report of one sample T, make a consolidated report. You can do one thing, you can put all the 3 weeks together and you can have PowerPoint slides created, all 3 weeks together, and like the same process, you pick up a histogram and claim whatever it is, same thing. But again, you can give them a summary. This is how the journey has been. So first week, second week, third week, how your process has gone through all these subsequent stages, and how did we arrive at this target? And practically, you have all the details and you've got all the charts. So present this to the management. That's one. So that could be one of your presentation that I would love to share with the leadership team. Apart from that, I'll have to do a pre and post analysis, because now this time for us to do the pre-post analysis, we have weeks. Ideally don't have in this data as a week 0 data. Ideally I should have one, because that's when we'll remember we collected before implementation. But right now, just because I have to do something here, I label this as week 0. That means say hypothetically, we started this with this one, week 0. And this is where we have improved it. Let's call it like before, and let's call this after. That's how it'll be. So this is where we have achieved the target. This is where we started it initially. Let's get rid of this week 2 in between. We don't need this one. It doesn't matter any which. So old data versus new data. Now I have to showcase to the management, this presentation can go there. Second, I have to show a pre and post. Now this is what we have to keep in mind when I talk about pre and post analysis, before and after analysis for average, only for average, because there are other tests also. Like you have a target test for average. Similarly, there is a target test for median, standard deviation, variance, count, percentages. Similarly, there's a pre and post differently done for all others. We'll discuss it tomorrow on that one. So here, since average based comparison is done, we perform paired t-tests globally. When you see all this pre and post analysis, before and after analysis, they do paired t a lot. Like COVID vaccines have gone through paired t-test. If as a probably a nutritionist, I want to come with a nutrition plan, I will do a pre and post. So before taking my nutrition plan and after taking my nutrition plan, pre and post. So I'm comparing 2 averages, old data average versus new data average. Null says both are same. Like null says there's no difference in old average and new average, comparing average of 2 groups. And alternate says no, there is a significant difference. Old average, new average, pre and post is a big, massive difference. Expert wants to prove that there is a change, which is a significant change. Null says no, they're all the same. But are we not doing comparison of 2 averages? Yes. And we have another test, if you recall, the comparison of 2 averages done through 2 sample t-test. And here we're saying a paired t-test. The difference we have to keep in mind, both tests are meant to compare average of 2 groups. 2 sample t also compares average of 2 groups, but 2 independent samples, like male-female average, like morning shift to night shift average. These are independent samples. We're comparing about 2 independent samples. We talk about 2 sample t that we use in analyze phase. But when we're in proof phase, we are going to do a before and after. Here we talk about this is called dependent samples or related groups or related samples, which is meant for pre and post analysis. Let's understand what all scenarios where we will use paired t. But please keep this in mind, old and new of the same thing, not independent, but they're called dependent or related groups. Let's say a machine before maintenance and machine after, same machine, before maintenance, same machine after maintenance. What my null says, there is no difference in the average production of old versus new. That means the maintenance did not work. Alternate says no, after this maintenance, there is a significant difference in the production averages. We will get to see, but same machine, before maintenance, same machine after maintenance. You have old machine, maintenance data, production data, and after machine maintenance production data. For example, there's a drug manufacturing company, which we have this here, and we want to claim that there is a medicine, the company claims, and this is real, people do it in all pharmaceutical industry. So they claim that my medicine, we have come up with a medicine which will significantly reduce the blood sugar level or blood pressure, whatever it is. Well, so null hypothesis, no. There is no difference in the blood pressure before giving the medicine and after giving the medicine. That means your medicine is useless. It's a useless medicine. Whether you have medicine or you don't have a medicine, there's no change in the blood pressure. The company says no. After you've taken the blood pressure medicine, it reduces the blood pressure. So people with high blood pressure problem will significantly get a relief. Well, how do you know? Compare. Bottom line, what do you do here? You get some people. So this is, say, we get people who have got high blood pressure problem. When we measure their blood pressure, so we get some people, we measure the blood pressure, and same people after giving up medicine, and then we measure the blood pressure. So this is related groups. Same person, old blood pressure, same person, new blood pressure. So related groups, dependent groups. So it's a pre and post of the same person involved here. Well, whereas we talk about two sampling, they're two different groups. Well, we want to do this, we will do a paired t-test. Simple one, same data, old data, new data, perform a paired t-test. Old data here, new data here. Null says there is no differences between the group. Alternate says no, there is a significant one. We go and claim, looking at p-value, it's alternate. The differences are significant. One, there is no overlap happening in the old average normal distribution and new average normal distribution. This process data is two significantly different population. And yes, that further validates that you've achieved the target. With one sample, you proved it. And with the paired T, you're able to prove that the change in the averages of the process is a significant change. So paired T test can be done to showcase pre and post analysis of the process mean.
Excuse me, there is a question. Yeah. While attempting the questions in the test which you given us for the practice, yeah. I have seen so many questions in which the test are test-based question where the averages are given. So most of the questions are wrong in that case. Basically, I'm confused in the hypothesis test decision tree question and target validation test question. In both the cases, there says average based. So how can we differentiate between them? Which is the target based and which is the hypothesis test? Because in both the cases, they are asking for the average test. Right. And in both the cases, we have to, for the 2's level and 2+, we are calculating the averages. So I'm confused in that. Okay, in both the cases, we have to calculate the averages and we have to apply the test. And I want to differentiate in my mind what is the difference in both the cases.
Whether it's a target validation one or not, right? Is it what you're talking about?
Yes, yeah, because in both the cases, we are talking about the average.
Absolutely, yes. In one of the cases, you will be given a target. You will be talking about target. And in case of any comparing averages, it will talk about whether there are differences between the population averages or not. When you talk about target validation, I would be given like, if you read the question, you will see there is a target mentioned there. They'll say, we want to see whether did we achieve the target or not, which test will we perform. So there will be a question about a target being achieved, or you have a target of like, you have to increase the production of the process above 150 kilograms per day. I would be given a target, or the question will talk about a target. But when I'm talking about comparing two averages, it'll say, well, we have made a change in the process. We want to compare whether the difference in the average is significant. So it will talk about differences in the average is significant or not. So it's not going to talk about target. And we'll solve those questions by default. Starting today, we'll be doing that. So we'll be kind of going through all the list of those questions also. It'll by default get covered. Starting today, actually, we'll cover it up. But we'll see those questions automatically. Anyways, let's kind of do this one before and after also for this old blood pressure, new blood pressure. If we do the same job here, old blood pressure and the new blood pressure, it's comparing the blood pressure of the people before and after to see whether this vaccine or the medicine has worked. And I see, yeah, there is a significant difference. This p-value is less than 0.05. We'll say this medicine works. So this company will be given the regulatory license to go and manufacture this medicine and sell it in the market. Without giving this evidence, they will not be allowed to manufacture this medicine and sell it. So every medicine in the world, they have to go through this validation of paired t-test, every vaccine, every medicine, because that's a regulated industry. So they will be required to pass this test of paired t before and after validation has to be done. But because null says it's useless, there's no change. And alternate says no, this is a very significant medicine. We should see an improvement in there. So all in all, while we are going to complete this improve phase, you will be preparing this basic presentation, some bit of PowerPoint, because you want to close the improve phase. You'll have a toll gate review, which we have a meeting with the champion at the end of every phase. For toll gate review meeting, you'll have some presentation done. So the weekly report for one sample T, week by week, that you can prepare, weekly report. You can do a paired T test, which we have seen, and some additional charts or details can be given, which is old and new data box plot, old and new control charts, which we haven't studied control charts yet. I'll show you where to do that, and old and new sigma level. That is enough evidence for management to see whether change is a significant one. So one sample T weekly reports, just want to concise. This is what I'm talking about, like a one sample T report, which is like a weekly report that can go into one like presentation, like it tells you how we have moved week by week. And finally, you can showcase the pre and post analysis. And along with this, you can do a box plot also. So if this is my business data, and I want to do a box plot, I can go to box plots here. And now I'm going to pick up multiple Y, because the old and new Y, two Ys, Y1, Y2, old Y versus new Y. I want to compare and see whether there is a change, old Y versus new Y. And let's see that. If I click OK, it will give me the box plot of old data and new box. Well, look at this. There is a significant drop in the box plot. Look at the range, look at the variation in the process has gone down. Overall, my median of the box plot, you can see a significant reduction. So when I'm doing a paired T test, along with this, I can put this chart. So paired T test, the results which we have here with this data, when you put this one, you can put this chart also as a graphical representation. So when you're explaining this one, you can explain, okay, so it's clearly evident that old data, we had a high variation. The new data, we have gone significantly low. This paired T will always go with the box plot. It's a combination chart which can be done along with that. So we will present this one. Apart from that, we have one option of doing a control chart, which we haven't studied, but I'll just quickly show it to you where to click and how to get the control chart, because any which will discuss control chart thereafter. But by the time you're doing a real project, you will showcase pre and post control chart to the management right here. Let's see. There's an option of assistant here. There's an option of before and after control charts. We will click on this. There are multiple options, but we'll select the first one. We'll understand why later. So it's a before and after INR chart. We'll select this. Now it says all Y data in one column. No, we have got two separate columns, right? So you go to drop down, it says Y in two columns, old and new Y. So before Y, let's say select before. After Y, let's select after. Well, click OK and we're done. It is going to create your control charts for the process. Obviously, we have not studied it. But again, just visually, if you see this was the old data. Look at the variation gap. This is the new data after. Look at the variation. It's like streamlined, quite streamlined one. So we look at, this is the centralized chart. This is the variation chart. The variation was quite high. Now the variation has gone significantly low. If I look at the values also, which is the old average, new average, old standard deviation, new standard deviation, there is a significant drop in the average and standard deviation of the process, which is we always wanted, because that's what we want to do with Six Sigma projects. When you scroll down, it'll be the same chart is in a bigger one. I can see this same chart rather than the smaller one. So honestly, we don't publish this before and after control chart. Why? If you are going to do a old and pre and post of Sigma level of the process, you will not do this. Why? Because if you do pre and post Sigma level, you get control chart automatically with that. So unless you only want a control chart, then you can do this. Otherwise, you don't need it. Why? If you do this Sigma level old and new, you also get control chart along with that. Let's do that. Sigma level, same data. I go to assistant just above this. There is a before and after capability analysis. I select this before and after capability. My job is to look at the capability comparison. It says baseline process data, old data. Select the old data, which is before. Subgroup size, single column, one single column. Improved process data, new data, after data. Subgroup size, single column. What was the target? 13 minute upper limit. Maximum limit was 13. That's it, done. It gives you all that presentation work that you have to share with the management here. So it says 49% reduction in defect. Your defect rate was, say, 74.26%, gone down to 37.98% currently. And look at this, gives you PPK-based information here. It gives you this PPK-based information, the old, the percentage defect, the new percentage defect, the change in the save. But we need CPK, right? We also get CPK. No worries about that. If you look at the chart, the old data was quite a big, huge variation was there. That's your USL line. Look at this, the process data. If I just try to look at this, do you see the small line here? A small dot, red line. That's 13. My process mean was somewhere here. Somewhere here. Now look at the process mean. It has gone here. It's gone below 13. So it has shifted this population mean from this place to this place. There's a significant reduction in process mean. And look at the variation has also reduced a lot. The process is more compact. And you'll see a bigger version of this chart. You can always add your comments here in this box by clicking this box, make personalized notes, do whatever you want. That's page number 1. Let's go and scroll down to page number 2. I said you always by default get a control chart also. So old control chart, new control chart will be there. Old normality data, new normality, p-values data is normal for both of the cases. Second page of the report. Third page is a complete performance report. This has everything, CPK, PPK. So you know your sigma level of the process. So you need CPK values. The same charts on a little bigger one so we can easily see the difference here. But again, I am interested in CPK. That's CPK. Z bench is the long-term sigma. This is long-term sigma. So long-term sigma is given. Old long-term sigma is here. New long-term sigma is here. Change in the sigma level. But whenever, remember, we always report short-term. And no software will give short-term. So you have to do this plus 1.5, plus 1.5, and plus 1.5. The change in the sigma level. Because that's the actual change, basically, like in the sigma level. That will be my change. Basically, change will still be the same. Bottom line, it only gives you long-term. No software will give you short-term sigma level. And yes, it tells you the defect percentage old, defect percentage new, change in the defect percentage. And if it's in a million, how many defects your process will make in a million. So you can have this report shared with the management. Let them look at the process report, and that's enough evidence for management to say, well, your project has achieved the target. And yes, it's enough evidence to say that your process, like basically your target has, your project has achieved whatever improve phases, pretty much done here. So once you're done with this reporting, primarily, I will have my toll gate review with the leadership team and technically the champion. I will finish this job of your toll that's may improve phase. I'll get into control phase. Now, the only part we have to keep in mind is like every phase, I had some deliverables. I had to complete some tasks. Define phase, I had to get a project charter, select the team, give them roles and responsibilities, do all that jazz. I completed all of that. Define phase got over. Measure phase, we had a job of deciding the sample size, sampling methodology, looking at measurement system analysis is done correctly or not, then doing the sigma level calculation. I did all of that. Measure phase tasks were completed. I complete the measure phase. Analyze phase, where we had a task to kind of find the root causes, do a fishbone diagram, apply the statistical test, find your root cause. We found that. It got over. Improve phase, my only objective was to achieve the target, and I've done it. Now, control phase is a target, which is to control the process. Now, the moment I get into the control phase, my process is already controlled. Is it unstable? No. It is stable. So big question is, how long should be, because the only deliverable that process should be in control. Is it in control? Yes. Is it controlled? Will it be controlled tomorrow? Probably yes. Day after tomorrow, 1 week from now, 1 month from now, 6 months from now. When will I say I'm going to close this project? Because the project says the deliverable is the process should be in control. If the process continues to stay in control, when should I say this project is getting over? Because I've seen enough of control here. Now, practically, the rule, which is ideally not a guideline, but a best practice, is that the duration of your improve phase should be the duration of control phase, because the process is improved. And the big question or concern is that how long? What if it starts like, so yes, what if scenarios, we will be having control charts in picture, which will take care of the process being in control or not. We will be able to ensure the process is streamlined. But typically, if it took you a month to improve, you must monitor the process as improved control for a month at least. before you hand over the process to the process owner, because I don't want to hand over an unstable process. Then they will have a problem because you will be gone. You will go and pick up a new project, new team, everything will be different. So you don't want these people to struggle later on. If it took you like say 2 months to improve it, you must stay in control phase for 2 months. It's a best practice we must follow. You don't have any more tasks, nothing left over because you already achieved what you wanted. Sort of relaxed time, honestly, in the control phase, because it's time to do a handover. I will be doing a handover, giving the information to the people, training. My job will be more of a training and a coaching guy, because the targets have been achieved. My process is in control. All we will be doing is this job of control plan. We're going to set a control plan. And what is it? Copy paste. Last revised action plan from your improve phase. Whatever got your targets achieved, like practically, make it a standard documentation, quality manual, SOPs, make it available to everyone. Let's, guys, not make any more changes with this. This is tried, tested method to achieve this kind of performance. Let's follow this as it is. And yes, the last revised FME is this is how we have maintained and secured the process. Let's continue doing this. This is coming from the previous phase. Copy and paste, make it a part of your control plan. Bottom line, whatever you did, which got you the result, you must continue doing it without changes. Yes, if there's unexpected variation which will come into the process, that can make it unstable. And for that, we will decide control chart. That's the new component, which is control chart. So which type of control chart? Because there are different types of control chart. Who will be publishing this control chart? Because you'll be gone. So somebody has to learn it from you, the control charts part, because they can continue to monitor the process. And they could not be one person. There will be more of backup people. At least 2 or 3 people will learn it from you. There's one person. What if you're teaching somebody and that somebody leaves the company? So yes, you'll have 2, 3 people who will learn this control charts from you. You'll decide on the frequency, daily control chart, weekly control chart, whatever. Well, you've got to teach these people what to see in control chart, when to take action, when not to take action. So it's all about control chart, which is what we want to understand here. So primarily when we say control charts, these control charts are also called Shewhart charts, by the way. So Dr. Walter Shewhart introduced them in 1920s. They also call SPC charts or statistical process control charts, whatever you call this. Bottom line, these are the ones which we're going to be dealing in control phase. It's all about control charts to stabilize the process, normalize the process, and ensure that the process which is in control remains controlled and does not go out of control. That's the objective here. So it all boils down to, from an overview perspective, which we have talked about. From a green belt perspective, we will be only covering up the overview, because it itself is very, very small topic, because control charts have control chart rules and the control limit calculations. That's very simple part of it. But again, from an overview perspective, what we need to understand, because that's what will be tested in your green belt exam, is the overview part. Let's understand what is that, because that's a foundation for us to do the study of rules, or for that matter, control limit calculation. We got to have the clarity when we see a control chart. What is it when somebody says it's a control chart of the process? Let's see. But again, more importantly, which control chart to be used in what scenario is more important. Now, let's talk about these. Now, if you're dealing with a continuous data, we know what is a continuous data. If I'm dealing with continuous data, there are 3 control charts I have got, and they are paired charts, combination charts. I've got IMR chart, which stands for individual and moving range chart. I have a choice of X bar R chart. X bar means average or mean, and R for range chart. X bar means average, and S for standard. So I have individual and moving range chart to be made, average and range chart to be made, and average and standard chart. Which chart to be used in what scenario? We'll talk about it, but please keep this in mind. First chart will give you the idea about centering of the process. Second chart will tell you the variation of the process, like moving range, standard variation. But the first part, individual chart, the mean chart, pretty much will be all about centering. So when you do a complete analysis, you do study both central tendency of the process and the variation of process. Control chart is a complete package. Well, more important part is about how to decide whether I will do a IMR chart, whether I should do X bar R chart or X bar S chart. It completely depends on the kind of samples you will be collecting here. It all depends on the sample size. So I will be sharing this file today. So some elements we will not cover today because they are part of your black belt. Rules are a part of black belt. You do get questions in the exam on the rules, so which is here. We'll discuss it when we discuss the black belt section here. This are control limit calculations. There's a calculator for these control limits, which is also a part of your black belt. For continuous data, there's a different calculator. For discrete data also, so we'll do this calculation of how to calculate these control limits. But all in all, they are also part of black belt. You do get questions in exam. So from a green belt perspective, we'll just try to kind of understand when to make which chart. So if my subgroup size, the first one says if my subgroup size is 1, I will make an IMR chart. Now, what is subgroup size 1? If I pick up one sample every hour, that is subgroup size 1. If I pick up one sample every 30 minutes, it is subgroup size 1. If I collect one sample every 5 minutes, my subgroup size 1. If I collect one sample in a day, it's subgroup size 1. The time doesn't matter. How many samples? That's what's going to decide your subgroup size. How many samples? We're saying one sample, that means subgroup size 1. So this is how your data would look like. So if I'm here in this case as an example, I'm picking one sample every hour. One sample, one sample, one sample, one sample, one sample, one sample. Every hour, I pick one. But for IMR chart, data will be in this fashion, a single subgroup, which is this fashion. Well, if I pick more samples, if I pick any sample size anywhere between 2 samples to 8 samples, well, time doesn't matter. If you pick, say, if you're picking 5 samples every hour, time doesn't matter. How many is the question? 5, it's between 2 to 8, make an X bar R. If I pick up 4 samples every 3 hours, time doesn't matter. How many is the question? 4. So your subgroup size is between 2 to 8. I will make an X bar R chart. Look at this data. I'm picking 6 samples every hour. 6. Whatever data it is, it doesn't matter. Well, 6 samples, subgroup size is 6. Since it's between 2 to 8, I will do an X bar R chart. Having said that, there are some statisticians globally and people who have done masters in or probably PhDs in statistics and all. There are authors, very rare, but there are, who say we should be using it up to 10. Honestly, they're not wrong. Well, it doesn't mean that we are wrong. See, it's about a different school of thought. People, when we talk about the statistics related stuff, say somebody started probably using it up to 10 and they found it good and effective. It's working for them. So it's okay. It's okay. Remember, like we talked about quartile including median and quartile excluding median. Both are correct. So if it's, if during the job interview, somebody says X bar R should be used up to 10, well, they're not wrong. So yes, 99.99% people will always say up to 8 because that's what is standard globally. But there are people and there are like authors, statisticians who believe that it's up to 10 and they are absolutely right. Honestly, it's not about what is the, like, it's more from the perspective of have you been using it and do you find it effective? It's working for you. Great job. Continue using. But that lot is very, very less. Even we go to Minitab, it will tell you the same story here. We go back here. Assistant, control charts. Look at this. Data collected in subgroups. No, not in groups. Single IMR. Data collected in subgroups. Yes, in groups. Size of subgroup 8 or less. So that means up to 8. X bar R. Greater than 8. X bar S. Default is always this. So please maintain the default. But again, you will see variation. So you should be okay. Well, they are not wrong. Well, that doesn't mean that we are wrong. But again, they are not wrong also. And yes, if you believe we go with a standard, then it's up to greater than 8 will be used for X bar S whenever you talk about more than 8 samples. So in our case, we're going to pick more than 8 samples here. My subgroup size here, like 12 samples. So it's about 12 subgroup and I'll be collecting data 12. That's going to be X bar S chart. So when you're going to be doing X bar S, it's going to be for more than 8 samples here. That's how we decide when to use which control chart in case of continuous data. Well, there are control charts are controlled by the Nelson rules, the 8 rules which will govern the control charts. We will not discuss them, but for now, we'll just kind of good to know information at least. These 8 Nelson rules are applicable to all these control charts, which are continuous data charts. All 8 rules apply on this. We will discuss them from a black belt perspective, but all 8 rules apply here. But when you talk about discrete charts, only first 4 rules are applicable for discrete charts, not all 8. The first 4 rules are applicable. Good to know information. And NHS will cover those rules later. So that's the continuous data charts. Is it okay and clear when to make which control chart? Because that's the first thing. The most important thing is knowing which chart to be used in what scenario. Is it fine with everyone? Continuous one? Okay. The questions are probably the tricky part is the discrete one. These are single charts and these are not abbreviations. The name of the chart is C chart, U chart, P chart, and P chart. These are full name, not abbreviation. I don't know why they kept it that way. And this is based on whether you're trying to control and monitor defects in your process. If you're trying to minimize the number of defects, you want to monitor the number of defects in the process, you have two choices. Either you make a C chart or a U chart. Either you can do C or U. When you want to monitor and control the number of defects happening in the process, you have two choices. Either do a C or a U. Which one is better? No one. Well, you decide whatever you want. When to use a C, when to use a U, we can discuss that. Is there any special credit like or benefit of using any? And honestly not. I'll hate to use a U chart. When we do that U chart, you will see that. But bottom line, they both are meant for defect. Well, you do a C or a U. It completely depends on your sample collection process. Well, how many samples and how you're going to pick the samples. So we'll look at an example of when to use a C chart, when to use a U chart. That we have to get in. So when you're doing it, I'm trying to control the defects in the process, every single error that you make, the mistakes, errors, basically defects. We know what is defects. So let's see a sample data, how a C chart or U chart will look like. If we just scroll down here, look at this. We're first looking at a C chart. When do we make a C chart? We make a C chart when my sample size is fixed. Like, let's say when I talk about sample here, it's a mobile phone. Let's pick up an example. We are dealing with a mobile phone. A mobile phone is what we're dealing with. And on day one, we picked up 20 mobile phones for audit. Is it possible to get 22 defects when I'm auditing 20 mobile phones? Is it possible? When I'm auditing 20 mobile phones, is it possible to get 22 defects in 20 mobile phones?
Yes.
Yeah. Why? Because each mobile phone can have multiple defects. Well, a mobile phone can, what are the possibilities? We can have a camera problem. We can have a software problem. We can have a touchscreen problem. Well, we may have a charging issue. Like we can have the audio thing can be shown. There can be a lot of, so within one single mobile phone, there can be a lot of errors. And one single phone can have, say, probably and it depends on my quality audit sheet. They can be like, in my quality audit sheet, there are, say, hypothetically, I'm saying, there are 15 parameters on which each mobile phone is audited, whether camera, touchscreen, physical damage, and all those battery, charging, and all those things are there. So like 15 parameters are there. So in one mobile phone itself, I can find 15 errors. If they're all wrong, I can find maximum of 15 errors. So when I'm auditing 20 mobile phones, it's quite possible my number of defects can be higher than the total sample size, because in each phone, I can have so many errors. So day one, I audited the 20 mobile phones. I got 22 defects. Day two, I again picked up 20 new mobile phones and I got 10 defects. Day three, I picked up 20 mobile phones. I got 28 defects. Day four, 1 defect. Day 4, 5, did not get any defect. Then it increased. So here, what am I doing here is I'm auditing exactly same number of samples, not the same items. Every day I'm picking up fresh, but 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, it could be 20, 15, 30, whatever, in a fixed number is there. I'm doing audit every day. And I'm counting how many errors, how many defects did I get. Then when I'm doing this job, I will make a C chart. Let's go back and look at the concept here. Well, when I am trying to control and monitor the defects in the process and my sample size is fixed, I make a C chart. Defects, trying to audit the sample size, which is here. All I do is if I change the sample size, if I don't audit same number of samples, I do a U chart. Same job, exactly same activity, but I don't keep my sample size fixed. I will do a U chart. Let's see that. Same scenario. And now, day one, I audited 19 phones. Day two, I picked up 23. Then 18, then 15, then 20. The only thing which is different is the number of samples are not fixed. I'm sometimes picking less, sometimes picking more. My sample size is variable, but I'm still doing the same job, like finding how many defects did I get from 19 phones, how many defects did I get from 23, how many defects I got from 18. Job is still the same, finding the defects, but my samples are not fixed. So when my samples are variable, I will be using a U chart. When my samples are fixed, I make a C chart. Is that clear? And with this one, when to use a C chart, when to use a U chart? Let's talk about the other one then. We have next is about defective. Now, defective is and defects are different things. Defective is the item itself, the whole item. Not talking about defect. Defective is the item, the product you're dealing with. So, well, let's say we have got two options here: NP chart and P chart. Let's see when to make an NP chart or P chart. So, if you're trying to minimize the defective items, you want to control the defective items, you want to monitor the defective items, you have two choices: NP or P. Now let's see when to use NP and when to use P. Let's go back and check this one. Now let's see, we are talking about still a mobile phone, and this mobile phone is an iPhone. iPhone, we pick up from iPhone perspective. We know the same procedure is supposed to be done for audit. Now we picked up 20 iPhones for audit on day one. And I'm not counting errors. I'm counting how many defective iPhones did I get. So I'm counting the number of phones, not the errors. Even if the phone has one error or phone has 10 errors, the phone is defective. So if in the 20 phones I audited, I found one phone which is defective. That means that phone has errors. 19 phones were defect-free. So this is the defective item we have got. So here, when we talk about defective, it's can this item, this number of defective exceed the sample count? Is it possible for us to have this defective count higher than the samples?
Yes.
Defective count. The sample, if I'm auditing 10 samples, 20 samples, how many samples can be defective in that case? If I'm auditing 10 samples, how many defective samples I can get?
10.
20.
10. Same 10.
Okay. If I have got 20 defective samples, if I audit 10 iPhones, like say if I'm auditing 20 iPhones, how many defective iPhones can I find during my audit?
20.
20. Maximum I can get. So that means all the phones are defective. So is it possible that I'm auditing 20 iPhone and I can find 21 iPhones defective? Is it possible?
No.
No, not possible, right? My count of defective items cannot exceed my sample size. So here we are not counting errors, we're counting the whole item. So if we picked up 20 iPhones, one out of those 20 iPhones were defective. That means there was some problem with that. So the phone is defective. It's not a defect. If saying your phone is defective, the whole item is defective. Next day we picked up 20 iPhones again, we got 0 iPhones defective. Next day we picked up 20 iPhones again, we got 3 defective iPhones. So this is not the errors, this is the iPhone itself, which is number of iPhones which are defective. So when I'm trying to minimize and control the number of defective items we manufacture, we will be making an NP chart when my sample size is fixed. But same scenario, my sample size doesn't remain same. Someday I picked up 10 iPhones, 14 iPhones, 16 iPhones. My number of phones that I'm picking for audit is not same. I'm still doing the same job. Out of 10 iPhones, how many are defective? Out of 14 iPhones, how many are defective? 16 iPhones, how many are defective? My sample size is changing, but I'm still doing the same job. How many defective items? So if there is a case like this, I will make a P chart. When the sample size is a variable, I make a P chart. When the sample size is fixed, I make an NP chart. So all in all, whenever I look at this table, it gives me all the answer. If my samples are fixed and I'm trying to find defective samples, I'll make an NP chart. When my sample size is a variable and I'm trying to control the defective samples, I will be making a P chart. So this is the small table that should give us an answer for when to use which one. Now, quick check on this, and if it's okay, then I would definitely like to ask a question which is a favorite question of most of the recruiters globally. Is it okay and clear with everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So question is right here, the one I've shared it. Please look at the question. As an auditor, I'm trying to monitor the defects in the process and decide to audit 20% of daily output. Which control chart will be used for this one?
C chart.
C chart.
C chart. Let's see, we'll just try trying to get a clarity from people. Like, so we got, anyone else has any other perspective? Like we have got few answers for C chart. Anyone for any other chart? The answer is wrong. That's the favorite question of all the recruiters globally. Well, you found it correct, that the section is correct, but the answer is not. So from the question itself, we can figure out it's a defect. So I have a choice. The section is correct. So we're trying to monitor defects. So I have two choices. Either the answer will be C or the answer will be U. So is the sample size fixed or not? Is it 20% of daily output? 20% of daily output, that's not a fixed one. Why? Because let's say we have got day one, I produce 100 items. Then next day 110, 125, then again 100, 10, then 100 again. And what I'm saying, 20% of daily output. So 20% of this is my sample size. So this is what becomes a variable. You cannot have exactly same number of item every day. As now, so this is your output every day, and 20% of this is 20% sample is here. So that is where it becomes it looks like a fixed one. Please keep this in mind. That's the only catch, and it's only the question. So obviously they might not exactly tell you the 20%, but they might call it like 25, whatever, but percentage based. So it's a trap which is always used in the interview question. So it is, you got to keep in mind, the moment I say percentage, we're done. It's a variable sample. It will 20% of something, and something will always be changing. So you will always have variable. So same question, if I say I was trying to monitor defectives, which control chart are we talking about here? Same question, if the word would have been defective, which control chart? If it's a defective chart, which one? Cijo says P. And you're right about that. Absolutely, yes. Then it becomes a P. How about the second question here? This should be straightforward. This should be clear, but good to know. Again, this is definitely we've talked about as U. And but what about this one? Second question.
NP.
And you're correct about that. This is NP chart, because this is telling you defective. So NP or P, and here it clearly says 55 parts. Well, bottom line, done, fixed. That's fixed. So that's an NP chart. So yes, please keep that in mind whenever and this, honestly, nobody's going to ask you the straightforward question. This is the question for interviews. Be careful. The only thing we can play around with this question is percentage. So it looks like straightforward a fixed one. It is not fixed. It's just a big tricky part of it. Now that's one. Few more elements that we're going to be talking about here is about what to, when I see a control chart, let me publish a control chart here. And when I publish the control chart, I would like to, for us to understand clarity, when somebody publishes a control chart, what exactly does that mean? When I see a control chart, what am I supposed to read in there? So because every control chart is different, but all in all, every control chart in the end will tell you the same thing. What is that when I look at a control chart, what should come to our mind is what we want to understand here. So I'm going to pick up one of these control chart here. Let's pick up, and right now, as I said, we will only be looking at the overview part. Let me kind of copy paste this control chart data here. And we just try to understand, relate with what control chart here. So start control charts, individuals, IMR chart. I select this data set. Every control chart will have an options tab. We will always click on this options tab. When in options tab, you will see an option of test. We haven't discussed the 8 rules, which we will be discussing, not today again. So the 8 rules, the Nelson rules we talked about, have these control charts covered. So if I click on test, by default, only one test is selected. It says this one, it says perform selected test for special causes. That's the only test which is selected. We always have to go to this drop down, select perform all tests. And we'll need to understand what is special causes. So we'll quickly talk about that, but just for a minute, let's park it. Let's click OK and then click OK. Done. Now, all in all, that's my control chart. Now, we will look into this control chart. But before that, I really want to talk about one element here. Whenever we publish this control chart, any given time, whenever you're going to publish this control chart, every time you will see there is there's something which we call as voice of customer. Like in control chart, you get to see something called, if this is the control chart, the first one, and only control chart that we have to understand and study, even from black belt perspective or for matter any perspective, all you have to know is one. So you talk about IMR chart, X bar R chart, X bar S chart, C and U or whatever it is. Trust, you only have one chart, which is mother chart of every control chart. What is an individual chart? This is master chart, mother chart, source of control chart. This was the first control chart which was developed by Dr. Walter Sheward, and this was developed by him as a first primary chart. Every control chart was created from the individual chart. So if you understand how to read individual chart, I'm not saying 99%, I'm saying 99.99% of every control chart, you already know. The only control chart we have to study in and out is the first chart, individual. Because every control chart in the end has to become individual. In the end, every control chart becomes individual. So if you know how individual works, I said, you know every chart. Will moving rate chart become individual? The answer is yes. Will average chart become individual? Yes. Range chart? Yes. Mean chart? Yes. This chart will become individual? Yes. Whether C chart, U chart, P chart, NP chart will become individual? The answer is yes. So only control chart that we have to study is one. It's a very simple topic here. And which is the individual chart here? The individual chart we're talking about is this one. Not both of them. This is the only chart. This is the individual chart, and this is the other chart, which is moving range. So if you know just to study this, your control chart journey is over. That's all we have to study. It's a very, very simple topic. And this is all this, you understand this, you will see, okay, rest is just copy paste. Just a copy paste of individual one and different version of calling it differently. That's it. So all in all, when we look at control chart, I want to make sure we understand what do we see in a control chart. What are the components of your control chart? First thing first, let's see this. Let's get the data here. Let's get the control chart open. Let's try to see what is in it. So first value, if I click on this chart, it says individual value 17. That's my first data point. Second one, individual value 13. That's my second data point. Third data point, fourth data point, fifth data point. So what I see here, this is the data which is plotted as this line graph. That's the line graph I'm looking at. This entire line graph is plotted based on my data. If I see this center line, the green line here, it says X bar. We know X bar means average. It says 11.4. If I go back in Excel and quickly just do a quick calculation here, average of this data, look at this. If we take an average of this data, it's 11.4. Average of this entire spread data is actually 11.4. So what's so fancy about it? Well, what is done in this control chart? It's a fancy stuff. And please keep this in mind. For every control chart, this will be 100% same story. You'll always have a single column, always. It doesn't matter how many data you're collecting. You're collecting 50 samples, 100 samples. It doesn't matter at all. You'll always have a single column. In the end, you'll see that as that every control chart has to become individual. So you'll always have a single column. In the end, you'll end up calculating average of that column, which is X bar. So you'll plot that line as an average for every control chart. That's how it will happen. So in this case, average is 11.4. Then you see, okay, my first value is 17, so you put somewhere here. Second value is 13, somewhere here. Third value is 2, somewhere here. Fourth is here. Then fifth is here. All you're doing is connecting the dots. That's it. You're plotting the data around that average with the way it's moving, and that's all. So there's no fancy thing in here. You'll always see this is a common practice for every control chart. You'll have a single column, an average will be calculated, and data will be plotted around that average. Apart from that, what else do you see in a control chart? You get to see these control limits. And these control limits are calculated. These are not given by customer. So we got to understand the difference between two elements, specification limit and the control limit. So we got to definitely keep that concept in mind. When you say voice of customer, which is customer target, basically. LSL, lower specification limit given by the customer. USL, upper specification limit given by the customer. These are fixed. Why? Because these are given by customer. You have to adjust your process according to it. They are specific limits, fixed limits. And using them, we calculate sigma level. Remember, number of standard deviations between mean and that specification, LSL, USL. This is fixed. We use it for sigma level calculation. But what you're seeing in control chart has nothing to do with this. You're looking at voice of process. Control chart is a voice of process, not the voice of customer. And this has control limits, lower control limit, upper control limit. And please keep this in mind. Control limits have nothing to do with the customer. Customer is always about specification limit, not about control limit. Control limits have nothing to do with customer. Absolutely zero relation with the customer. Why? Because they calculate it. Every control chart has its own formula. Individual chart has its own formula. Moving range chart has a different formula. Standard deviation chart has a different formula. Every control chart has its own unique formula. And using that formula, these control limits are calculated. So when it is getting calculated, what it has to do with customer? Customer limits are given. These are fixed. They can't change. And control limit will change every time. If your data changes, control limit will change because it will get calculated again. If you have a data set and you go to, okay, it's exactly like this. So this is, I've taken 20%. If I change this value to say 135, will it get calculated? Yes. If I change this value to 145, will it get? Absolutely. It is exactly how the control limits work. Control limits are calculated based on a formula. If the data changes, control limit will get changed. Will the customer target change? No, customer targets are fixed. So please keep this in mind. When I'm looking at control chart, these control limits are calculated using a formula. And this control chart has a different formula. This control chart has a different formula. Every control chart has its own formula for calculating control limits, and they have nothing to do with the customer. What these control limits tell you? Statistically, because not the customer, but statistically, my process can go maximum up to this. My process can go minimum up to this. Based on this, the data, statistical calculation happens. It says upper control limit, maximum it can go to this, and lower it can go up to this. That's all. That's what it tells you. So they are calculated. If your data changes, your average will change, your standard deviation will change, and so will your control limit will get changed. The formula will recalculate the limits again. So these are not fixed, they are dynamic limits. And all in all, when I look at a control chart, what I should keep in mind. When I look at control chart, first I have to get one concept crystal clear about the control chart. What is it? Whenever we see a control chart, what are we actually looking at? So for that, I have to do some bit of sketch work, and which I do love doing sketch work by every now and then. Statistics makes more sense when you play around with some bit of sketch work. Let's try to do this. And I would definitely need some help from you in order to do this sketch work here. Let's start with a normal distribution. I would love to see a normal distribution here. That's my process mean. Okay. I would like to see if you can help me out. How much data lies between plus and minus 1 standard deviation? In a normal distribution, what percentage of data lies between plus and minus 1 standard deviation? Anyone would like to pitch in?
68.24 probably.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. That is correct. 68.2%, which is 34.1% here and 34.1% here. Oops, 34.1% here. In control chart, when you see this control chart, there's an invisible line, which is not visible, by the way, which is set here. Invisible line, set at plus 1 standard deviation, set at minus 1 standard deviation in the control chart. Invisible, we can make it visible, by the way. This area in the control chart actually contains 68.2% data, 34.1% here, and 34.1% here. Can you tell me how much data lies in plus 2 and minus 2 standard deviation in the control chart?
95.4%.
Perfect, yes. This is 13.6% data here, 13.6% data here. Similarly, there's another invisible line in control chart, which we can make it visible. We can. By default, it's not visible. And there is a second side lower limit also, which is set at minus 2 standard deviation. Even in the control chart, this area of control chart contains 95.4% data, which is 13.6% data here, and another 13.6% data here. Last one, if you have plus 3, minus 3 standard deviation from the mean, how much data is?
99.7%.
Perfect, 2.1% here and 2.1% here. There's a visible control line, which is set at plus 3 standard deviation, which we call as upper control limit. And there's a visible control line set at minus 3 standard deviation, which is set called lower control limit. And this area also in control chart contains 99.7%, which is 2.1% data here and 2.1% data here. So you are actually looking at a normal distribution. This is a vertical normal distribution. The same thing, you flip it, it becomes a control chart. You're not looking at 99%, you're looking 100%. This is equal to this. One is standing, one is sleeping. That's not what you can say, but that's both are control charts. You say control chart or normal distribution. There is no difference. It's 100% the same thing. One you have kept like vertical, and other is horizontal. That's it. You're actually looking at a normal distribution when you're looking at control chart. 100% the same thing, not even 99.99, whatever. It's 100% same. You're looking at two things which are exactly the same, differently called, differently stuff, but it's all the normal distribution. Let's see that. Can I get that limits here? When I publish this control chart, I could have got the limits, which I can do, but we rarely use that. But again, we can always put that 1 and 2 standard deviation show us. Look at this. It's a normal distribution we're looking at. Mean +1, +2, minus, like upper limit is 3, minus 3 is 3. This is your normal distribution. If I look at this limits, which we'll be studying, but not right now. When these rules are covered, they're also based on the same logic. Mean +1, +2, +3, mean -1, -1, 3. That's a normal distribution. The 8 rules we'll study. But again, that's all based on normal distribution. So control charts and normal distribution, we are talking about exactly the same thing. Not different, but exactly 100% the same thing we're talking about. So it's absolutely no differences between them. So we got to keep in mind, whenever we are studying the control chart, we're actually looking at one is a vertical one is horizontal one. You're only looking at this data as a process data. It's just good to know information. Now, last piece that we need to know from a perspective of like understanding a control chart. A, we should get the clarity it's a normal distribution. B, when I look at a control chart, okay, I'm continuing with my question so that we are able to relate with that topics here we're going to cover. Now, if we recall, what is the sigma level of this process? Sigma level of this process. What is the sigma level? Sigma level of this process?
1.96 probably.
No, sigma level. We're saying not sigma. Sigma and sigma level are two different things. Sigma is variation, standard deviation. This is variation, standard deviation. And when we talk about sigma level is a performance level. So simple people will ask you this question during job interviews. They will sketch the way I have sketched it for you. And they will ask you, what is the sigma level of the process here? The answer, honestly, is there is no sigma level. 0. Well, not 0. Well, there's no sigma level for this process. What is sigma level? If you recall, the number of standard deviations you can fit between mean and the specification limit. Where is the specification limit? Where is the target? You got to fit the number of standard deviation between mean and the target. But where is the target? Where? It's half story. This is just a normal distribution. When I look at, like, well, if you remember the sigma level calculation, we said, how do you calculate standard deviation, the long-term sigma? The long-term sigma is calculated as the number of standard deviations between mean and the specification limit. So where is the limit? You have not given, like, I have just drawn a normal distribution. It tells me that 68.2% of my process data is here, 95.4% process data is here, 99.7% process data is. This is a normal distribution, which tells me that 99.7% of my process is in this limit. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. When I say my process quality is 99.9%, is my process quality good or bad? I don't know. This is just an output. This output is neither good nor bad, just an output. Can I say it's good quality? No, I can't tell you. Can I say it's a bad quality? No, I can't. It's just an output. It's neither good or not bad, because quality can only be defined by the customer. Is it good or bad? Can only be explained when I know what's your target. Well, if your target is 95%, you're doing a great job. 96, great job. 97, great job. 98, great job. 99, great job. 99.9, you're on target. But when your target is 99.99, you're doing bad. So unless you know the target, how can you tell it's good or bad? I hope it's clear to us on this trend, because without knowing the customer target, how can you say it's good or bad? It's just an output. Is that okay for now? First thing. Okay, now let's continue with the same. So when I look at a normal distribution, when I plot my normal distribution, what it tells me simply the same thing. My normal distribution tells me that this is my normal distribution of the process. My 68.2% data is here. My 95.4% data is here. 99.7% data is here. That's it. It's an output. It tells me 99.7% process is here. Good or bad, I can't tell you. I can tell you that it's my process within +3 and -3 standard deviation, within 6 standard deviation, not 6 sigma level. Level is when you say the number of standards. So 6 sigma level and 6 standard deviations are different things. 6 standard deviations, this. 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, 3 standard deviation, -1, -2, -3. Standard deviation and sigma level. Standard deviation is sigma. Sigma or standard deviation are same thing. Sigma is standard deviation, which is variation. Sigma level is the number of, say, for example, my customer target is here. Now I see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will say my process has 4 sigma level. Level is the number of standard deviations you can fit between mean and the target. Sigma is standard deviation. Number of standard deviations you can fit between mean and the specification. Without knowing the limit target, I can't tell you the sigma level. So control charts, bottom line. So without this, what is the answer for this? Unfortunately, there's no sigma level. For me to, this is just the normal distribution tells me that 99.7% process is distributed within this and this range. That's the normal distribution of your process. Neither good nor bad, no sigma level for this process. Well, you got to tell me the target. Where is the target? And that's when I can tell you sigma level. I need to know how many standard between mean, but where is the target? You've not given me the target. So without that, it's just a data. Just a data, just an output. It's neither good nor bad. And since normal distribution and control charts are exactly the same thing, while looking at control chart, I can't tell you it's good or bad. Sigma level can be negative also. Sigma level can be negative also. When my defect rate is more than 50%, sigma level will get in negative. We calculate that like more than 50% defect rate will result in negative sigma. So this control chart, is if it's a normal distribution. So looking at control chart, can I tell that this control chart is meeting the customer target? No. I can tell you that this process is stable, controlled. Yes. But can I tell it's meeting the target? No, because I don't have the customer target. Remember, control limits are calculated. These are upper control limit, lower control limit, they are calculated. Customer target control charts have control limits and not specification limit. So by looking at control chart, I can't tell you whether it's meeting the target or not. A process which is controlled or stable, I can't tell you. What I can tell you with control chart is this. So if I have got this data, let me just get rid of this method here, like whatever addition I have done here, it makes it messy. Anyways, let's publish 2 control charts. When I see control chart, what can I tell you here? A, this control chart. B, I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to make a change and then I'm going to publish a control chart. When I see a control chart, what can I explain here? Well, first control chart and second control chart, well, I can tell for looking at the first one, I can say, well, this control chart is a stable control chart. This is statistically controlled. There are no special cause variation scenes. That's it. This one, I can say, oh, well, there are red dots, which are special cause variations. The 8 rules for Nelson violation. So bottom line, these are 8 rules, and there I can see some variations are there. And these are special cause variation, which needs investigation. This process is not stable. There are statistical errors in there. And practically, I'll have to investigate this process. This is not in statistics. So when I look at a control chart, I can tell whether it's controlled or not. Whether there are statistical, like it says under statistical control, whether there are special cause variation seen or not seen in the process. That's it. But whether I'm looking at this process or this process, I can't tell you whether it's meeting the target because there's no customer target here. Well, customer target can be added manually, which we always do. By default, control charts are not supposed to do it because control charts are supposed to have control limit and not the specification limit. So please keep this in mind. Whenever we are publishing a control chart, it is I should be able to keep in mind. Only thing which I can tell by looking at control chart is is it in control? Yes or no? Does it have special cause variation? The red dots, do we have it there? Yes or no? That's what I can tell you. And whether I can't tell you whether it's meeting the target because there are no idly control limits. Process control charts have control limits, which has nothing to do with customer. There are no LSL, USL in control chart. There are control limits in the control chart. So looking at control chart, I can't tell you it's meeting the target. Yes, we can always do that by adding it manually, but by default, it's not a part of control chart. So that's what you got to keep in mind. So control charts cannot by default tell you whether it's meeting target. Yes, can tell me whether it's in statistical control. This is in control. This is not in control. That's what. Whether this is meeting target or not, I don't know. None of them. I can't comment about it because I don't have the customer to which we can add. I can add this one. We'll do it later, but I'm just saying I can do that. I can add this limit, and this is my USL. I can add that. That will be manual correction. I'm doing it with the process control chart. I can do that, but we'll discuss it later. But by default, it's not supposed to have control limits. It's not. The specification limits are not supposed to be here. So whenever we publish control chart, if you see the red dots, these red dots are called special cause variations. And these are these 8 Nelson rules we were talking about. These 8 Nelson rules. If any of these 8 rules gets violated, you will see a red dot. And this red dot, please keep this in mind, it's not a defect. Red dots are simply an indication there is some changes have started happening in the process. Out of those 8 rules, one of the rule has been violated. So you will see rule number 1 has violated, rule number 3 has violated, whatever. Whichever rule has violated, you will see the red, like these are fixed numbers, rule number 1, rule number 2. So if any violation happens about these rules, you will see in the control chart. Like in this control chart, we could see 1, it says rule number 1 has violated. 7, rule number 7 has violated. 2, rule number 2 has violated. So it'll tell you which rule has been violated. Please do an investigation and take corrective action accordingly. But please keep this in mind. Red dots do not mean it's a defect. They are just an indication there is a change happening in the process and you have to investigate the change. It could be good, it could be bad. Like if I'm talking about this one, data has crossed my upper, what it says, control limits. This is the maximum we expected it will go. If it's a sales process, it has exceeded my sales expectation, which is good. It's not a defect. But if I look at this data as a cost, then it is definitely a problem, but still I can't tell you it's a defect. It has definitely exceeded my expectation in terms of process. Maximum cost was expected till this. It has exceeded the cost, which is not a good sign. But still, I can't tell you defect. But defect, I can only tell when I know what's the customer target. So 1, I can tell you for sure it's out of control for sure. Whether it's a sales, which is higher the better, but still out of control. I need to know how did it happen. So red dot simply means does not mean it's a defect. It can be good, it can be bad, depending on what are you auditing. If it's sales, higher the better, which is good. But if it's cost and time, it's bad. So all in all, please keep this basic concept in mind that special cause variations, whenever you look out for, they're indicators. There's a change happening in the process. And that can be good or bad. You decide and accordingly take action. If it's good, find out why and do a root cause analysis and repeat more because it's good for you. But if it's bad, find out why and fix it. Bottom line, you are supposed to see the red dot as an indicator that a change has started happening. Investigate and take corrective actions there. That's all we got to keep in mind. And that's all from the overview part we have to cover. So if we are done with this, typically we can say we are done with the green belt section. Unless you have any questions, you can please let me know if you have any questions outstanding in terms of understanding the control part of it. Conceptually, if you're clear with this, whatever we've covered in terms of what is a control chart, conceptually, these are the topics which you have keep in mind. If we are clear, that's the overview of the control chart. Which control chart to be used in what scenario? Well, control charts are, and the normal distribution is the same thing. When looking control chart, can I tell you it's meeting the target or not? And the special cause variations that they are defects or not. That concept has to be clear. And that's all from an overview perspective. Is it okay with everyone? Quick check on this section. Is it fine? Yeah. So if it's okay, then we'll take a quick, you can decide because we'll just pick up these 3 practice tests for today and let's move on. Let's cover up the remaining tomorrow. So would you like to take a 5 minutes break and let's continue with this? Let's take a quick 5 minutes, I guess, because we'll be done early also. So it will not take a lot of time. So let's take a quick 5 minutes break and we'll resume with this one. Just a 5 minute because it'll not take long to complete these 3. And we'll resume tomorrow with this remaining ones. Instances, 1 odd instances every time in every batch, because these files, Excel files are placed on Google Drive. So people open up these files on Google Drive and they try to go and access it, which is fine. But for examination, you will definitely, this calculator page will come in very, very handy. Be it green belt exam or black belt exam, and you cannot use this calculator while this file is on Google Drive, because you'll have only read only option there. So you can only see it, but you can't make changes. So please download this Excel file on your laptop or desktop keep it downloaded so that you can use this calculator page, because it will save a lot of time. And yes, any calculation related question can be solved here on this Excel in this section. Let's try with the first one. Again, we have some information here. Let's call it like A, B, C, D as a correct option. You can look into it. So first one, it says a project charter has been reviewed by the champion. Problem statement is given as attrition percentage for Singapore office software developers is really high due to intense work pressure. Upon review of exit interview logs, it's quite evident that employees are working under tremendous work pressure. There were indications about unprofessional behaviors by the seniors as well. We urgently need to set up an employee welfare committee whose members will be from existing workforce, and they will be responsible for collaborating with other employees to find out all possible ways how the work culture can be improved to control attrition. And what are the potential problems with this problem statement used from a Six Sigma perspective? A, B, C, D. Well, you are absolutely correct about that. Thank you. That's correct. Why? Because we're suggesting both. We're telling us what's the problem, the intense work pressure, unprofessional behavior, what is the causes. And then we talk about solution also. We have to set up an employee. When you know everything, why you're doing a Six Sigma project, just go and do it. Solve it. You know the cause, you know the solution, go and do it. Why you even think about doing a Six Sigma? Bottom line, not required. While preparing a RACI matrix, you see Alan has assigned Alex and Joe as responsible. And once the job is done, Alan and champion will act as accountable. Is it done correctly? A, B, C, D again. Thank you. You are absolutely correct about that. You cannot have two people accountable. Well, you can definitely assign 2 people, 3 people as joint responsibility can be given. But 2 bosses are just not allowed. 2 people cannot be accountable. Either Alan be the champion, the accountable, or champion be the accountable. You can't have 2 people as accountable. 1 boss, 1 activity, 1 accountable. A goal statement must be a SMART statement. A stands for perfect. Perfect. Yes, that's correct. Achievable, attainable. What do we call this? Achievable, attainable, the same thing, relevant, like the synonym sort of thing. So it's the same thing. Well, you may see a different variation, which is okay. Is the goal statement drafted correctly? You're right about that. Absolutely not. What's missing in there from a goal statement perspective? What is missing? Thank you. The target. How much? Doesn't tell me. Just to improve what? How much? Doesn't tell me that. But you're correct about that. Which tool is used for converting a vague customer requirement into measurable metric? Which tool will be used for converting a vague requirement of the customer into a measurable metric? Thank you. You're correct about that. It has to be tree diagram. You break it down. So you sort of kind of look at the overall project metrics, say we want to improve production. So that's my VOC. But how will you measure production? You will break it down, all elements of production, and you get the quantified. You can continue breaking it down. That's a tree diagram to break it down to understand the finer elements, the quantified variables. So this was English. You have to convert it into maths, basically. That's a CTQ tree you prepare. So your answer is absolutely correct. A tree diagram is the correct answer for that. Escalation department for a BPO is working upon identifying the most frequent type of escalation based on last 6 months escalation data. Which tool will be best suited for this? Escalation department. Pareto chart. Absolutely, yes. Without any doubt, Pareto chart. The most frequent problem, the second highest, third highest. So frequency distribution chart. If Pareto chart works on finding the most frequent type of escalation. Well, it's about count based. So yes, count of complaints, the highest complaint, the second highest, the third highest in a decreasing order. That's what we'll be using. Whenever the question is about frequency, which is count, we'll always be using Pareto chart as the 80-20 rule. Boundaries of the project is defined by. Thank you. You are correct about that too. Scope of the project, what will be covered in the project and what will not be covered in the project. Okay, well, this one I would definitely want to take you like a second here. In this question, I have specifically mentioned not, and I've used a capital letter. In the examination, you could get questions of not, but it will not be capital. So here you at least know, but again, it's quite possible to overlook. Do not make that mistake. Read the question carefully, because there could be questions of not. Well, which one will be the correct answer here? Absolutely correct. Pareto chart. Not a method for collecting data. It's a method for prioritization, analysis. Well, mystery shopping is collecting data, NPS score for collecting data, focus group, they're all for collecting, but not Pareto chart. Pareto chart is done after data is collected and you use that data for prioritizing. So it's for analysis, prioritization purposes. Is it possible for the sigma level to be negative? Yeah, you absolutely correct. Higher than 50%. Sigma level helps in improving dash of the process. Absolutely correct. Effectiveness of the process. Sigma level effectiveness, lean efficiency. Six Sigma was formulated at dash and lean was a dash. That's correct. Yes. Motorola and Toyota. You're right about that. Who has authority to approve, deny, or review the changes in Lean Six Sigma? It is. Yeah, that's right. It's the champion. Absolutely. This guy is the owner of the project is champion. So we will not have as a we are delivery people. We will deliver the job. You want me to solve a problem? I can solve whatever you want. Bottom line, everything authority 100% lies with champion. Nobody else. Post a brainstorming session, the team wants to regroup ideas. Which tool will be best suited for regrouping the ideas? And Shoaib, you are absolutely regrouping, putting them together, affinity diagram. For regrouping ideas, affinity diagram. Fishbone diagram is used for finding possible causes, so it will expand. One is for convergence, another is for divergence. So this is for convergence. Well, Augusta is responsible for sending weekly performance report. It's scheduled to be published every Thursday by 2 p.m. One of the stakeholders requested Augusta to prepare an interim weekly performance report, but the request was turned down by her. You got A, B, C, D options, and you can then select which is the correct one. Ideally, yes. Yes, you're right about that. All of them. Bottom line, when you're doing a communication plan, well, you don't plan ad hoc. Well, ad hoc is unplanned. No unplanned stuff will be done there. Like, so you have to have everything formally approved. Verbal requests are not entertained. Written will only be required. And you don't want to do anything, adding, removing, modifying. You have to follow the proper change management method. So all of them. So looks pretty good. So thank you for that. Let's kind of check this one. Correct order of 5S in this list. Absolutely, Sijo. You're right about that. Third option, sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. That's the correct one. Quality inspection of products manufactured is. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Required ways. Yes. Sam works in India office, his manager in San Francisco office. Which waste they are most likely to create? Absolutely the waiting time. Thank you. Which S of 5S is applicable for increasing the available useful space? Increasing the useful space. Absolutely correct. Yes, you're right about that. Sorting. Get the junk out of the system. Remove the unwanted waste from the system. That's sorting. You're right about that. Well, for these kind of questions, when you say calculate throughput yield, well, we know the formulas, but again, I would still want to recommend this for examination purposes only. When you get a question of throughput yield, you can put the values here. This is a calculator one, so you can put like input of 300, scrapped items 25. What is rework? 37. Put the value, you get your answer 79.33. Which is this one. But again, simple way, all in all, what we have done here, throughput is error-free output of the process. What is here? 300 minus 25 minus 37, which is error-free output of the process divided by 300. If you do this, it is going to be 79.33. So in that Excel formula, that's already been done. Basically, you can just plug in the values. But all in all, that's the throughput, rolled throughput yield. Just do this maths and you get your answer. If you get a question which is about rolled throughput yield, also you have this one here. Just scroll down, just below that, there is a rolled throughput yield section. You just need to fill in the yellow shaded part and you will have your answer. So the first one, it says 0.9, we put 0.9. Second, 0.85, 0.85. 0.83, 0.83. This 0.93, put in this one. you get 59.05, and that's what you're looking at, 15. What you do here is you simply multiply them. So for rolled throughput yield, you simply multiply these, all of these, and you get your rolled throughput yield. All of them, multiply them, you get your answer as 59.05. All in all, but again, you have options during exam, save time. Time is critical, so we will be able to do that. Honestly, it's easier to kind of navigate through that. The team involved in implementation of lean is uncertain about removal of a waste step as a waste. How should they proceed? Thank you. Yes, absolutely correct. From customer's standpoint, in lean world, customer is the king and should be whatever customer desires, we have to do it. We cannot make the customer be penalized because of our activity. So yes, from customer standpoint. Let's talk about this. Which of this one is a discrete data? Thank you. You are absolutely correct. Simple way to differentiate any data which can be written in decimal place is a continuous one. Can I write a speed of the car as like I am driving a car at 175.35 kilometers per hour? Yes, I can write that. That has to be continuous, can always be written decimal. Mileage of the car, my car gives say 25.65 kilometers per liter mileage. Yes, I can write. That's a continuous one. Production in kilograms, I produce like 150.75 kilograms. Yes, I can do that. But typing speed, I can't write say 20.35 words. No, you can either type in 20 words, 21 words, 22 words. It is going to be a whole number. You can't write. It's a count of words typed per minute. Again, a discrete data. So correctly mentioned by you as absolutely. It is a discrete data. Looking at the next question, which one is an ordinal data in this one? Absolutely correct. Yes. That is a ranking scale, rating scale is an ordinal data. Well, employee code is nominal data. Name, label, identification. Well, doesn't tell me which is good, which is bad. Just name given. Tomorrow, you may call employee code as alpha, beta, theta. Who cares about it? The telephone numbers, these are just identification. Doesn't tell me this telephone number is bigger or this is smaller. No, it's just a number, an identification given to us. Or for that matter, shoe brands. It doesn't tell me which is better. But here it does tell me. Everything has a positional meaning. A rank system is there, which is ordinal data. A back office processing insurance claims decides to take up a project to increase claim processing rate from 150 claims per day to 250 claims per day. What kind of project data is this type data type is there? Absolutely the same thing. It's a count of claims that you process. Number of claims from 150 to 250. It is a count of claims as a discrete data. As a manager of a hotel, you've been constantly getting complaints from your various customers about delay in baggage check-in from reception to the guest room, basically. You collect data about baggage handling time. What kind of data is that? Perfect. It's a continuous data. Time, hours, minutes, seconds. You can always write down that in decimal places. It's a continuous data. You're looking at room service complaint log, and that most of the customers have complained about delayed delivery of ordered food. You collect data about food delivery and wish to study variation. Watch out for the word from the service level agreement of 10 minutes. So we want to study the variation. Which method would you adopt for studying variation? Absolutely spot on. That's the only option. Mean for central tendency, median for central tendency, mode for central. The only thing we study is for variation, standard deviation. Absolutely correct. IQR in a box plot is represented by. Absolutely correct. Yes, you're correct about that. Quartile 3 minus quartile 1, both the boxes together. So upper box, lower box, both boxes put together is called interquartile range, IQR, which represents 50% of the data in IQR. If we square up the standard deviation, what will we get? Thank you, variance. If we do square root of variance, we get standard deviation, opposite of it. That's absolutely yes. What is the general level of acceptable level of confidence level in case of like in generally? It's about 95%. Thank you. That's correct. Yeah. This one, let's think about it before you answer. Margin of error is given as. Think about before, because generally the most, if I talk about all the questions, this question has been the question reported as the one where maximum errors have been made till date. If I keep doing Google form review and look at the result, question which has been marked incorrectly by most of the people doing the practice, this is the question which is the highest one, which is incorrectly answered question. This one, margin of error one. So think about, let's just have a look at it. It will give you an idea. And that is one correct so far. Only one correct. That's what. So the interpretation we get from it is the last one. Yes, last one is so confidence interval. The interval is the total range, and half of it is margin of error. So we are talking about, so for example, pizza delivery is going to range between 15 minutes and 30 minutes. That's my confidence interval. My confidence interval range says that my pizza delivery will range between 15 and 30 minutes. That's my confidence interval, which is range. Half of it is margin of error, so half here, half here. So confidence interval divided by 2 will be margin. And I am 95% confident that my pizza delivery will range between 15 minutes and 30 minutes. I'm 95% confident about this predicted range, but margin of error is half of this overall range. So either you can say margin of error multiplied by 2 is confidence interval, or you can do a confidence interval divided by 2 is margin of error, whichever you want. So this is what you got to keep in mind. So last option is the correct one. Interval is the range, total range, and margin of error is half of it. Well, this one, you could get question and you will not get a question like this. You will not get a question. So it's quite possible in the examination you will get a question which they will give you 5 or not 5, but about literally 7 or 10 values at the max. 7 or 10 values like this they might give you, and they might ask you to calculate average of this data, median of this data, variance of this data, or standard deviation. One thing out of quartile 1 or quartile 3 or IQR or upper outlier limit, lower outlier limit. They can ask you to calculate one of these things, not all of them. So you have this option in the calculator page. Go to this one. Here it is. When you give the exam, you have the option of copy paste. You can copy and paste from there. So you just paste the data, you get your answers. So whatever is the right answer, pick it up from here. So whatever the question is asking for, the minimum value, the maximum value, the range, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, IQR, upper limit, lower limit, mean, median, standard deviation, variance, everything. So pick up the right value and get your answers. You will not be asked to calculate everything. They'll ask you for only one value, one thing to be calculated. So pick it up and get the job done. So that's the kind of questions you should expect from these topics. Again, so far what we've done. So tomorrow we'll pick up the remaining elements from there and we'll take it up from there. But again, if it's okay, I hope so far the way I've been looking at the answers, that is pretty satisfactory. Plus, it's not going to be a big deal. If you're comfortable with these questions, at least your examination should not bother you. And honestly, I'm telling you, 99.9999 whatever percent, it's a common belief that for everyone who have given the exam, green belts would be more tougher than the black belt. Why is that so? Because when you're talking about a green belt exam, see, typically, if you're given a yellow belt exam, some of the yellow belt content is, when you give a yellow belt exam, you cover up some topics, and yellow belt is a subset of your green belt. So green belt, if this is a total green belt content, this portion is a yellow belt content. So if you're giving your green belt exam, if you're given your yellow belt, somewhat of your yellow belt content can also be tested in green belt. So it has helped you somewhat to even prepare for your green belt exam, because you will be tested on that topic. But when you're giving your black belt exam, it is right here. So when you're giving your black belt exam, if you've done your yellow belt, you've done your green belt, you already prepared a big chunk of your black belt automatically. Because you will be tested on everything. So the extra new topics will be only here. Because this is all you. So when you've done your green belt once, you pass the green belt, well, black belt is a cakewalk for you. Why? Because you will be only covering up additional new topics. So whatever you have already prepared, you already prepared. This is the new topics is what you'll be covering, which will start from tomorrow. So we talk about our day 10, day 11, and day 12 that we'll be doing. That is an extra topics which will be tested in this section here. Barring that, from day 1 till day 9 is whatever we cover in the green belt, that will still be applicable. So whatever you have covered till date, those topics will be tested in your green belt exam. But when you're doing a black belt, all the 9 days topics will still be applicable. And then, yeah, we're done with the green belt today. So, but again, don't give the exam right now. Why? Because we haven't done the practice test. We've only done some of them. So we'll pick up the remaining practice test tomorrow. And after tomorrow's session, well, go ahead and give your exam. So you would have practiced it. And I would after tomorrow's session, while we start the black belt portion, because we would have completed all the practice tests, I would love to, at least I would recommend, go and pick up this practice test once again and do it once yourself. All of this. Once you're done, just go and open up your portal. You will have you go to your IMC portal. You can just go and give the exam whenever you feel like giving it, because it's there. It's already there. All you have to do is go when you feel ready. When you should do it? At least after we discuss it tomorrow. I would recommend whenever you get time, just open up these, do it once and just give the exam. When open up your IMC portal, you will see the exam for green belt and you can give it the way you give the yellow belt one. I hope everyone remembers where to give the exam. Let me show you IMC. This is where I can show it to you. It's by default.